Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is a Monday. How are we doing here on a beautiful Monday? Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is doing well. And I'm not doing well. Haven't been really in a good mood since I walked into this place earlier this morning. Tommy Wirtz walked in and said, "What's wrong with you? You all right?" No, man, I'm not all right. I'm definitely not. Now, if you want sunshine and rainbows and all that stuff, probably not the show for you. Probably not.
Well, you talk Bucks. That's sunshine and rainbows, right? Or Brewers. That's sunshine and rainbows right now too.
You could tell who the Bears fan is on the show.
Badgers football. They're having fun.
I like the Brewers trade. I'm not against the Brewers trade, and so I have no issue with the Brewers trade whatsoever. Just to go there, we can get into that. I think Sparky missed at 440. The Bucks. Again, I don't really want to talk about the Giannis situation because there's a million new things out there on Giannis.
On the court, it's going good, right? They didn't lose to one of the worst teams in the league by 45 points.
Who did they lose to then?
The Brooklyn Nets.
Yes, that's what they were. See, he's having a good day. You're going to get to hear Happy Charlie because the Bears won, the Packers lost, so he's just going to be rubbing it in our faces all throughout the show for 3 hours. And then on Friday, when he has to come out of protection and come out into the wilderness, on Friday at Brat Bowl 3 at the Broad Stop, then you can have your say with him coming up this Friday.
Well, I might have some protection from our sister station down there. They might help me out.
Yes, it'll be a ton of Bears fans, no doubt. Brat Bowl 3, Broad Stop in Kenosha. We'll tell you more about that later in the show. But we'll be out there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. all day, along with 670 The Score doing their shows. I'm dreading that too. So Jacob Westendorf, Packers on SI, he broke the story on Christian Watson earlier this morning. He'll join us coming up here in about 17 minutes, and looking forward to getting his thoughts on what all happened in the injury situations with all these different guys. Micah Parsons, as you heard on the Mason Crosby show with Mitch Thunder and Ellis, that's confirmed. That's a torn ACL, according to Ian Rappaport. So he's toast. Micah Parsons already on social media with a line with a banged up eye saying September. I think that's very possible. It's 9-month recovery. It's December. So that would put you right on par to be there at the beginning of next season. That would make a lot of sense. So you essentially could have a situation where in week 1, you see Tyker Kraft and Micah Parsons both on the field together, and you don't really miss any time with either one of those guys next year. The question I have is a simple one. Was that game as depressing as any Packers loss you've ever seen? I mean, I'll take you right back to 14 when you blow the Super Bowl in the last 5 minutes of that game. That was depressing. And I remember exactly the whole afternoon, the whole day, everything. I'm sure most of you do too, where you were, what you were doing, all of that, and how depressing that was. That was over the course of some time, and that was the end of the season and so forth. To me, this felt like damn near on that level. Maybe not as bad as that, but it felt close to that. It did. It felt close to that. Nicolay Law Talking text line. What say you? 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. On the socials, WI Sports Radio. Follow us on YouTube and on X as we live stream this bad boy each and every day. Charlie told me in our pre-show meeting that I apparently went viral with something he put up.
Yes, you did.
That was on Friday?
On Friday, you and Mike Evans of 104.3 in Denver were discussing just how good the Denver Broncos were based off of their resume before this. And every single Broncos fan, when I put up you guys discussing their resume...
May I point out that Mike Evans did not come at me at any point during this interview?
No, he kind of agreed with you a little bit. He never really brought up the point that
there was never an interaction where like they're backing Mike on this one.
Nope.
There's nothing. So Charlie's like, it went viral. I'm like, viral? What happened? There was no hostility in that interview.
They were mad that you didn't give the Broncos credit for beating the Eagles in their stretch when you gave the Bears credit for beating the Eagles. They were also mad that you didn't give them credit for beating the Chiefs, who are now out of the playoffs currently. They got eliminated yesterday after Patrick Mahomes went down with an ACL tear as well. I mean, they just were going at you. And then today I went back to double check. There was about 50 extra comments on Instagram and Facebook each discussing about, oh, how you feeling now? You think the Broncos are still fake? All this other stuff. Yeah, they don't like you, Sparky.
Okay, let me just first say something. They were out of bounds on that TV call watching that game. Romo and Nance. Don't you ever bring up the 85 Bears defense with that defense of the Denver Broncos. That's an insult to every member of the 85 Bears defense. And I hate the damn Chicago Bears. Don't like the fans. Don't like anything having to do with the Chicago Bears. But I watched that 85 defense, man. That is not even close to the 85 Bears defense. That Ravens defense back in the day when they won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis and those guys, that was close. This thing, this orange mush or whatever this defense was not close. This orange crush.
Orange crush.
That's insulting to Mecklenburg and all those guys before them, calling them that. Listen, I understand y'all got a lot of sacks, and that's great. I'm happy for y'all. It is nice. But come on, man. I mean, if we're being realistic here, if they don't lose half their roster in the second half, Denver don't win that game. I mean, Denver got lucky at the end of the day. That's really what it was. Micah Parsons got hurt. Zach Tom got hurt. Evan Williams got hurt. Christian Watson got hurt. They don't get hurt. Packers win that game going away probably. And that interception that was thrown, the first one by Jordan Love, everybody's like, it was a bad decision. Stop, man. Do you want to know what that was? That was when a player, you can use a Bucs player, like say Bobby Portis, right? Let's use Bobby Portis. When Bobby Portis hits 3, 4, 5 shots in a row and is feeling it, Bobby Portis is going to shoot it from anywhere in the stadium. It does not matter because at that point, I'm in the zone, man. I can't miss. I'm just going to chuck it up wherever. That's what Jordan Love was feeling like after that first half. You had people chanting, go Pack, go in Denver. Like it was all Packers, all momentum all the time. And Love had been throwing balls up off his back foot for the last several weeks without any type of ramifications necessarily. Christian Watson catches everything that he throws up. So he's like, hey, I'm good. I'm going to go throw this bad boy up and let Christian go get it. Worst case, it'll get knocked down. But you're throwing against one of the best quarterbacks in football. Maybe the best cornerback in football, in Patrick Surtain. And he came up with the interception, and Christian Watson got hurt. Double negative on that one. But he was just feeling himself. He was a basketball player in the zone, just seeing if he could throw another one up and see how crazy his luck was going to be throughout the course of the game. Once Zach Tom went down, then it was officially over because Kennard stinks. He couldn't stop anybody at right tackle. And that ain't no credit to the Denver line. That has all the credit or discredit due to the right tackle situation for this Packers team. Now, again, haven't seen how long Zach Tom's going to be out yet. But I'll tell you right now, if they don't have Zach Tom and if they don't have Christian Watson for the next 3 weeks, let's say they go, hey, they'll be back for the playoffs. They going to beat Chicago and Baltimore without Zach Tom, Christian Watson, and Micah Parsons? I don't see it. I don't see it. Sorry. You could tell me all the positive things you want and tell me how everything's going to be all right and you're being so negative. Fine. Now, Christian Watson, again, we're going to talk about Christian Watson. Jacob Westendorf, he broke the story from Packers on SI at 2:20. Christian Watson, from what I read in that story, shoulder injury, don't know what, but it's going to be pain tolerance and it's going to affect range of motion. Oh, boy.
Doesn't sound like he's going to be too useful if he's feeling a whole lot of pain and can't move his arm. Like, that's kind of crazy.
But he's going to try and play. I give him credit. Like,
yeah, but
hey, had to respect. You're going to try and play through it because he knows, and so does everybody else, that Packers offense is not the same without Christian Watson. It wasn't the same without Christian Watson his rookie year when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, and it's certainly not the same when Jordan Love is the quarterback. They don't have that other guy that has that size that can get vertical like he can to go up and get balls. They don't have that guy. So if he's not playing, that offense is going to change dramatically. And then if you don't have a right tackle that can protect Jordan Love, grant you, thank God it's the right side and you can see what's coming, that's going to be even more problems. Dirt.
You can try running the ball with your running back room that can't stay healthy either. Any of them.
Explain something to me.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, we're going to try running the football. Mm-hmm. Josh Jacobs did okay.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah, did okay.
Only 12 carries. Looked awesome those 12.
He's got a swollen knee. Not sure how much longer he's going to last. We don't know that. Wilson was 6, so I think he's fine. Don't got to worry about him at this point. But you're still going to have an issue because you still don't have. So what made that right side nice was Belton and Tom moving guys and Ryan at center. Okay, here we go. Now you're going to have to reverse course to the other side and go, Aaron Banks and Rasheed Walker, can you give me something? Or you go to Jordan Morgan and go, I've seen enough. You're playing left tackle. Last 3 games, Jordan Morgan's going to left tackle. I mean, if this ship is going to go down, then I'm going to see what I have for next year and see if Jordan Morgan can play left tackle. And then Rasheed Walker, we're going to see what you can look like at right tackle because I've seen what Kennard looks like. I know Jordan Morgan ain't playing on the right side, so I'm done with that. So put Jordan Morgan left tackle, and maybe we see what Rasheed Walker can do on the right side. Maybe you do that if that's where this is going.
You maybe could, but at the same time, you just lost your highest paid star for the season. I think if you switch around the offensive line that dramatically, I know you already have to with some of these injuries potentially, but you put a guy like Jordan Morgan in left tackle that when he's been switched around this season seems to struggle at least at first, no matter where he goes. Are you going to risk putting Jordan Love, your second highest paid player, into that same kind of situation where you could potentially then start next season without both those guys?
Yeah, I think I am. I think I want to see Jordan Morgan left tackle. I think I've seen enough of Rasheed Walker at this point. The penalties just are absolutely killing me. Like, just in general, just dumb penalties. Somebody touches a punter, the punter flops. Fine, whatever. Say he flops, but what are you doing? Like, it wasn't even necessary. Just a bunch of dumb, stupid penalties. It's bad enough you have to overcome injuries and everything else, and referees not throwing flags when they should throw flags. But then on top of that, You do dumb stuff like that? Come on, man. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're first up. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Trell?
Hey, what's going on, Sparky? So, when you asked a question about have you ever felt, what was the actual question about?
Was that game as depressing as any Packers loss you've ever seen?
Definitely top 5.
Yep.
Might even be close than that, but I'd say top 5 because I know I think that was 2014, the Seattle game.
Yep.
That's got to be one of the top ones.
I don't think it's as bad as Seattle. I think Seattle is still one for me.
Yeah, it's not as bad because you were right there. I mean, that was the NFC Championship game, wasn't it?
Correct.
Wasn't that
5 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so that definitely probably number 1 for me. But this one, because it's been so long since we actually – excuse me. I mean, I guess the last years of Aaron Rodgers, besides the final year, we went back-to-back NFC championships. It felt like we could, but I don't know if I was all that confident. I really had a lot of confidence in this team by what Micah brought for the defensive side because I haven't seen that in so long. And there's a lot of people, because I made this statement earlier, and I actually believe it, and I know it's negative, or it might not be as, rah-rah, but I think it's a better chance of the Packers missing the playoffs than it is them making the Super Bowl at this point with the injuries that they're saying.
Yeah.
And some people are saying, well, they had a lot of injuries in 2010 and 11. They didn't have injuries to Charles Woodson until the first half of the Super Bowl. They didn't have injuries to Clay Matthews, and they didn't have injuries to Aaron Rodgers. So even though they had a lot of injuries, which I agree, they didn't have the mega injuries to the guys that were the biggest playmakers on their team, like the Packers have had with Tucker Kraft on the offensive side and Micah Parsons on the defensive side. There was no injuries like that, impact injuries for the Packers then. I just don't think this team can sustain those injuries. And it's going to be a lot of pressure on Jordan Love because he's making a lot of money. And I know that he's going to be a lightning rod for people the next 3 games. But I'm just telling you, if we're not able to be successful, I don't all the way blame him for it because I just don't think with that injury to Zach Tom too, you can tell that was 2 different teams that played on Sunday. The first half, they were the Packers team that we've been seeing the last week. Once Denver started to exploit the Zach Tom injury, you can see that pocket collapse.
Yep,
Jordan Love could not step up in that pocket and throw the football.
Absolutely. First half, they look like a Super Bowl contender. That's exactly what they look like in the first half. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Let's go to James, south side of Milwaukee. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. What's up, James?
Yeah, I think I say the same sentiments that this person just said, but I think the Packers the next three games with these losses and that 50-50 chance of them winning these last three games and that, and I think that it's going to be hard. I think everybody's going to have to step up, but I think you're missing key positions and players and pieces in that. And I think you can't. You're going to have to push. Everybody's going to have to push a lot harder. And when he starts pushing a lot harder, he's going to start throwing that ball for interceptions and stuff like that, mishandling the ball and stuff like that, trying to make plays that you can't make.
I hear you. All right, man. Thanks for the call, James. Nicolay, a lot of talk and text line 414. As soon as Parson got injured, I didn't even care about the game anymore. It seemed like the offense was with me, LMAO. Also, I think my Broncos fan brother jinxed it right before it happened. Literally, the play before, he goes, see, there's never any injuries at Mile High because they spend like $1 million every week to maintain their field. Probably. I'd consider that a jinx, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
I'd say that. Yeah. Coming up next, Jacob Westendorf, Packers on SI. And don't forget, in World of Tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. And Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature sauce, new sweet chili, or new scorching hot, or choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all of your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's gotta be Wendy's. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll find out the latest on Christian Watson with Jacob Westendorf next. Those were the good times. Those were the good times. We'll always have Micah Parsons first half and rest of the year. Done now, though. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Pfeiffer here, Charlie Usen over there. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. You can see him, of course, on X and YouTube as we stream live at WI Sports Radio. I'm going to start this off, Jacob Westendorf. Follow him on X at Jacob Westendorf. I'm going to start this off with my first question. Was that game as depressing as any Packers loss you've ever seen?
I mean, Seattle, Tampa, non-playoff, I would say yes. Seattle, Tampa Bay, those two games specifically come to mind.
Yeah, Seattle's one for sure.
Yeah, if you're old enough to remember Super Bowl 32, I would imagine that's in the list as well. But, I mean, as far as the regular season goes, it's not, it's always – Andy Herman's always got that thing where he says, like, what was the game and then what was the cost? And what did it cost you to win or lose that particular game on a given day? And it feels like Green Bay not just lost the battle, but lost the war. If you took the most important player on the team other than the starting quarterback is not going to play another snap for them for the rest of the season. So it's like, even once Parsons got hurt, had they come back and won, even if it had been in like some kind of galvanizing fashion, the feeling coming into today still probably would have been pretty somber.
Yeah, I agree. See, and this is the thing. You had the story earlier today on Christian Watson. So I'm going to let you go with what your sources are telling you on the status of Christian Watson.
Yeah, it was surprising to get the information that I did, because as soon as I saw him land and kind of grab his shoulder, my mind harkened back to the first time Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone, just the way that Christian's arm landed on the ground. Somebody landed on top of him, the way he just kind of lay there in pain for a while. But my people are telling me that it's a relatively minor, maybe not the right word, but an injury. It's not going to end his season. He does have a chance to play on Saturday against the Chicago Bears, which is massive. And it's mainly an issue of pain tolerance. And can he get to a point where if he gets hit, it's not going to, be just complete agony when something like that happens. But that's even more massive, because when we were talking about depressing and everything like that, I got to the Parsons part, and then, we were kind of just assuming that Watson was going to miss 2 or 3 games. And with the way this season is set up now, that could mean, I don't think it's going to mean the rest of the season. Like, I still expect this team to make the playoffs and everything, but Watson's a big part of this offense. And now with Parsons down for the count, the path to Green Bay to victory is kind of 2011. He put up a lot of points on the scoreboard and kind of try and outscore your opponent, because they just, without Parsons making those big negative plays, they haven't found many ways to get a whole lot of stops on the defensive side of the ball. And yesterday they weren't great in the second half, and they really weren't good once Parsons went out of the game. So yeah, it's big news to get Watson potentially back as soon as this Saturday.
I want to go back to the Watson thing. So the pain tolerance thing is one thing, but I thought I also saw something about range of motion possibly being into question with this injury too. And if range of motion is an issue, that is a big deal as well here.
Yeah, because, he's a receiver. It's not like he can just play from, the chin down, so to speak. If Love throws the ball high, he's got to go catch it. But, yeah, that would be a big part of this as well, and I'm sure they'll do a bunch of stuff throughout the course of the week to see what happens. Based on the timing of the injury, he has one less day to get ready, everything like that, I would be surprised if he played on Saturday, but I also would have been surprised if you told me he played before Halloween after he got injured last year against the Chicago Bears at Lambeau Field. So this is a guy who has already kind of beaten the odds once. And the culture of the NFL player and the culture of really just Christian Watson, the person in general, is if he's able to be out there, he will. And I think that's something that, again, we'll see throughout the week. They won't practice too much with, like I said, the short week, and they're just kind of beat up in general coming out of Denver. But if he's able to, move his arm enough, he was kind of the biggest reason that they beat Chicago the first time these two teams played. So, he's a huge weapon on offense. And again, if Green Bay's going to have to put up points in bunches, they need all of the guys they can get on that side of the ball.
It's a bigger loss than if you lost Josh Jacobs. It's a bigger loss than anybody you have. I think it's a bigger loss than Tucker Kraft, to be honest with you, because again, this offense, we've seen it every time he's gone out. This offense is, 45-50% of what it is with him. And then you get Jaden Reed back, and you don't realize how big of a loss Jaden Reed is until he comes back and you're like, holy crap. Okay, this offensive playbook just opened up a little bit more. And you didn't have Tucker Kraft, but you still look like people are going to have a hard time stopping this offense. But now with him banged up, now let's talk about the other person that I'm very concerned about, because they have nobody to replace this guy. And when he went out, it was all kinds of problems for Jordan Love. And that's Zach Tom with this knee injury. That's the other one here, because if they don't have Zach Tom and they don't have Christian Watson against the Bears, they're not beating the Bears, folks.
Yeah, Green Bay's offensive line did a good job yesterday against Denver's rush until really the end of it, after Denver took the lead and Zach Tom was out of the game. Because even early, when the Packers were still a little more balanced and not having to play a straight drop back like they had to against the Broncos once they fell behind, they were doing a pretty good job against Denver's rush. But once you're able to pin your ears back and play against Kennard that way, that's going to cause him some problems. And that's where Zach Tom, the good news is, I think it was Tom Silverstein of the Journal Sentinel reported that no structural damage to the knee. So that's good news. Does that mean no structural damage means he can play on Saturday? I don't know until somebody talks at some point this week. We're not really going to know the status on that, but you're right.
Even when they talk, you're not going to know the status on that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we don't have anything to sift through, I guess. But with Tom in the lineup, I mean, Green Bay's offensive line, he's their best player up front. They've got a lot of young guys up there, a lot of guys that haven't played a lot of football together, and a lot of guys who are playing positions they just haven't played a lot. You know, the right guard, Anthony Belton, is brand new. Sean Ryan's a brand new center, and it works kind of all the way that way. Banks is playing his natural position, so is Rasheed Walker, but Walker's struggling. So now you put no right tackle in against a Chicago defense that they don't really stop you, but they will take the ball away from you. And, you know, a strip sack is the same thing as throwing an interception. That's something that takes the ball away. And with Montez Sweat, and yesterday, Austin Booker had 2 sacks yesterday for Chicago against Cleveland. I mean, that is one way to take the ball away. And against Chicago, ball security is paramount. It's number one. And again, if you're going to have to score a lot of points, it's hard to do that when you take some of the negative plays that come without having your starting right tackle in the lineup. So they need Zach Tom back too.
How good are these cornerbacks for the Packers? Because if you base it on social media and the Packer fan base, they hate them all. Yeah. So how good are these cornerbacks? I mean, you're watching it every week. You see how good or not good they are. How good are they?
Better than what social media tells you. Not as good as what Jeff Hafley and the coaching staff probably tells you.
What are they? Are they a C? Are they a D? What are they?
Yeah, C players with, you know, some volatility to them. You know, Keyshawn Nixon can make a really heads up game-winning interception like he did against the Chicago Bears. He can also get beat pretty badly on a given play or two for like he did a couple. Yes,
that double move in the beginning. Holy crap!
Yeah, which I mean, credit to the Broncos, they kind of set that up perfectly. But Nixon is prone to biting on some of that stuff, and Carrington Valentine has some nice moments in coverage. He is a horrendous tackler at this stage of his career, and I think the biggest thing that you're seeing out of Green Bay, if you have volatility in your cornerback room, something that you want to kind of combat that is. It's the old Asante Samuel Sr. thing. He's going to give up a play or two here or there, but he's also going to make a play or two. He's going to intercept a couple of passes, give or take. The only cornerback with an INT for the Packers this year is Nixon, and that came last week against Chicago. So that's the one. You know, and yesterday they had a couple opportunities, and it was even Xavier McKinney had at least 2 balls hit him in the hands that those are plays you got to catch. You know, you can afford to not catch that against Minnesota and the Giants and some of the not great teams the Packers have played so far this season. The Broncos are riding an 11-game winning streak. They're really good. You know, Chicago this week, that's a first-place team. You got to catch the ball if Caleb Williams throws it to you. So as far as how good are the cornerbacks, you could foresee that being this team's Achilles heel when they were on their way to potentially a Super Bowl run with Parsons and everyone healthy and everything like that, right? You could foresee that. But again, it's not this system where they're the 2 worst corners in football, and the Packers like just completely neglected the position along the way.
But hold on a second here. Let me cut you off. Jacob Westendorf, Packers on SI. Follow him on X at Jacob Westendorf. But are they going to be exposed even more now?
Oh yeah,
without Micah Parsons?
100%. Yeah, that's unless you get a rejuvenation of Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness getting healthier and all that sort of stuff. But it's just that's where I said it's kind of hard to see where some of the stops are coming from. Jeff Hafley is going to have to. He hasn't had too much this year to reach into his bag of tricks to get after opposing passers, because you could just kind of say we had these 4 guys. Like, think about it, you know, Sparky, the Packers coming into the season after they traded for Parsons were like, okay, we've got a potential pass rush group of a healthy Van Ness, who they thought was ascending, Rashawn Gary, who's been steady if unspectacular for them over the years, Devontae Wyatt, who they thought was going to have a big year, and Parsons, who's one of the best players in football. Van Ness has been hurt. Wyatt's done. Parsons is done. So they need Van Ness to get healthy, and they need Rashawn Gary to kind of rediscover some of that form that got him that contract extension a couple years ago. He doesn't have a sack or a tackle for loss since they played the Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of October. And he said yesterday I think it was Matt Schneidman of The Athletic reported, like, watch how the front plays in the last 3 games. Okay, that's great that Rashawn Gary has those words to say. There needs to be some tangible action to back that up. And I think that's the number one guy who I was circling him when Parsons was healthy as someone who needed to kind of step up, especially as they got into the playoffs. But now that Parsons is gone, Gary's not replacing Micah Parsons. Nobody is replacing Micah Parsons except for Myles Garrett. And Myles Garrett plays for the Cleveland Browns. So not doing that. But can he be more disruptive? Yes. Can Lucas Van Ness do some things? Yes. Can Carl Brooks do some more things? Yes. Like, they have some guys that are talented with some pedigree. Can they do enough, combine that with a couple more creative blitz packages from Jeff Hafley and everything like that to kind of create some of those plays and somewhat soften the blow of Micah Parsons? Yes, but I don't want to make any bones about it. This is an absolutely devastating injury. I mean, Myles Garrett's the best defensive player in football, right? Micah Parsons is number 2. So that means there's only really one way to replace him. That's to get the other guy who's in front of him. They can't do that.
So this is the other thing. Their success rate when blitzing is among the best in football. I want to say it's like 56% of the time or whatever they get home on blitz percentage. But again, if you're going to increase how many times you blitz now in the last 3 games, odds are they are not going to keep that same type of percentage going up. That's also hasn't ever seemed to be the Jeff Hafley way as far as blitzing a whole bunch in order to create pressure. But yet, as you sit here right now, day after losing Micah Parsons, I think every person in the state of Wisconsin is expecting them to blitz more in order to get pressure, knowing you're not going to get pressure with 4 anymore.
Yeah, you almost have to. I mean, that's kind of the way that has to work. I think that when you're trying to figure out a way to replace that guy, you can't do it. The other way is to send more. Something about that blitz rate too, and we've seen this the last couple of weeks. Really, again, Xavier McKinney got a quarterback hit 2 of the last 3 weeks against Detroit and Chicago on plays where Parsons bailed and the protection was slid toward him, and Hafley sent a blitz from the side away from Micah Parsons. So you don't even have that anymore. That's something Dom Capers used to do quite a bit when they had Clay Matthews once upon a time. Like, that level of deception is gone. So they're going to have to figure out some ways to kind of manufacture some pressure. And then the other reality, nobody really likes to say this, but with schematics and everything, that can't fix everything. Some guys just have to play better. And I just mentioned those guys, Gary, Van Ness. And if they're sending guys on blitzes, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, whether it's some of the defensive backs like Javon Bullard or whomever, some guys got to eventually, you have to win a one-on-one. And whether that's on the blitz or in the secondary, because that's the other thing. When you send pressure, these corners that we were just talking about, now they have to play one-on-one, no help. If you're sending more guys, there's less guys to cover. That's just the math of it. So I'm curious to see what Jeff Hafley does. He's last year, the defense was good enough without Micah Parsons and without really a game wrecker on that side of the ball, save for Xavier McKinney intercepting a pass every other week. But it's a difficult challenge, man, because now they're replacing everything that they've done since week 1, 14 weeks later here into mid-December.
The biggest thing is going to be they have to catch balls. They just have to. The turnover differential must change dramatically. The first half of last year with the turnovers the Packers were creating must be over the last 3 weeks and going into the playoffs. That has to be the dramatic turn of events. If they get that dramatic turn of events, then maybe there's still a chance for them to win a playoff game or do something. But if that doesn't happen, I don't see how they're not in a lot of trouble. Jacob Westendorf, Packers on SI. Follow him on Twitter at Jacob Westendorf. As always, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. Good job breaking that Watson story.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Take care. There he is, Jacob Westendorf on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Sorry. I'm just going to apologize the whole show because I'm just not happy. Just not happy. Not in a good mood. This whole thing. It's been a while since I've been this mad or depressed. Depressed. Maybe not mad. Yeah, mad too. Mad that it's over. But definitely depressed for sure. about something Packers related. Again, it's been some time. Probably 14 was the last time I was probably this mad about something. Coming up next, are you more worried about the pass rush or the cornerback room now without Micah Parsons? Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. See, there was a positive. Highlight courtesy of CBS. There was your positive. Brandon McManus looking like Brandon McManus of last year. All right, there's your sunshine and rainbows and happy times for the Packers. Brandon McManus back home in Denver, looking like he kicked when he used to be in Denver. That was a positive from the game, Charlie.
If you guys aren't watching at WI Sports Radio on YouTube and Twitter, like tears just poured down Sparky's face. He was in pain while saying that.
No, it was legit. He was good. What? What's the issue?
We can't talk about Brandon McManus today, man.
I can't talk about Brandon McManus for the rest of the show if I want. Yeah, we absolutely.
Do you really
can.
want to?
Maybe.
Is that really what you want?
It's more happy and positive than the rest of this crap we have to talk about today. Speaking of, I don't know how I'm going to get through Friday. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to get through Friday. This Friday, Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha presents Brat Bowl 3 at the world famous Brat Stop in Kenosha. All day live event starting at 9 a.m. with 670 The Score out of Chicago. And of course, the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network featuring all your favorite on-air talent. Plus, bring your new or gently used coat to donate to Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha's annual coat drive. It's Brat Bowl 3 coming up this Friday starting at 9 a.m. at the iconic Brat Stop in Kenosha. Brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha. For a great experience, visit ZieglerKenoshaSubaru.com. And by Siding Unlimited, visit SidingUnlimited.com for their honest price guarantee. See, I don't know, man. I don't know how that's going to work. I just don't, because what's going to happen is people are going to come in running their mouth. I'm going to have nothing to say. Say what you got to say, man. What do you want me to say? If there's no Watson, no Tom, no Parsons, you think I'm going to go on the radio or anywhere else and go, oh yeah, Packers are going to win this one? You're nuts. There's no chance that's happening. Bears are, we're going to beat you. Yeah, you're right. You are. Okay. That's going to be the end of the conversation from my standpoint. Now, if somebody else, if Thunder wants to step up and start arguing about how the Packers will win the game, God bless Thunder from the Mason Crosby Show. If he wants to have that, if he thinks they can win that game without those three, good luck to you. Godspeed. But I am not going to fight with anybody over anything having to do with that on Friday, if and when I have loud, obnoxious Bears fans, which I'm sure I'm going to have in attendance at the Brat Stop, because through two Brat Bowls, that's normally what we always have, our loud, obnoxious Bears fans.
I might cheer them on a little bit,
Right, and then I'm going to have you out there. And again, I'm doing this because Charlie never gets to go out and so forth. Complaints he never gets food.
I'm never going to get to go out after this again.
Right. So now I bring him to this event after this Micah Parsons situation. Oh, stupid am I? Are you more worried about the pass rush or the cornerback room now without Micah Parsons? What worries you more, the pass rush or the cornerback room? I think you would say they're tied together personally. Nicolay Law Talk and Text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you, Charlie Houston over there. I think for me, it's obviously the pass rush. I mean, this is the whole chicken and egg thing, I guess, but for me, it's the pass rush, because without the pass rush, your corners are dead. I don't care who the cornerbacks are. If you have a quarterback that sits back there for 5 seconds, unless it's Caleb Williams, they're going to find somebody open at some point. It's going to happen. It just is. Now, you're going to get Caleb Williams this week. Then you get Lamar Jackson's butt, who's going to be running all over the place on you. And then the easiest matchup is J.J. McCarthy, and there were some signs of life on that Vikings team last night. There were signs of life from the Vikings offense. Have to have pass rush. Just absolutely must get it. And we'll talk about maybe what the adjustments should be for Jeff Hafley coming up at 3:20. We'll dive into that aspect and get your thoughts on, if you were the Packers defense, how you'd go about this kind of going forward. But there is definitely something to be said about the Micah Parsons impact versus even, say, the Jordan Love impact. Right? And this got brought up this morning on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht. They had Andy Herman on from the Pack a Day podcast. And they were having the conversation of, in a weird way, if Jordan Love goes down, but you still have Micah Parsons, you're probably in a better position than you are losing Micah Parsons and still having Jordan Love. Because you have somebody able to win games and has won games for the Packers in Malik Willis, and you do not have anybody close to the production level to replace Micah Parsons on defense. If you were to sit there, compare and contrast if one or the other, were to be hurt for the rest of the season, like what happened with Micah Parsons, I always struggle saying that a defensive player, no, forget that. I always struggle saying that any player is more important than a really good quarterback. And Jordan Love is a really good quarterback. So as special as Micah Parsons is, I would still rather have Jordan Love playing than Micah Parsons if you're going to give me one or the other. But I understand how you get to that point.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't I don't get all the Malik Willis like just super love. I get he was good in those games that he had to come in and play. He hasn't, but he also didn't really play good teams. He played the Titans, the Colts, and the Saints. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? That's not a great resume if we're being completely honest. I understand that that people, I guess, aren't as high on Jordan Love at this point as they are on Micah Parsons. That's obvious. I mean, Micah Parsons is the second greatest defensive player in the league right now. We talked about that,
so good in the last
but he's looked really good. This Packers team would suffer a lot if Jordan Love was not on the field, even if it
the
is
offense
Malik Willis.
Would not be the same. I don't care what Matt LaFleur tells you. It's not going to look the same.
They'd have to force feed Josh Jacobs the ball, and then he gets hurt. And then what are you doing? Now you have Malik Willis and Emmanuel Wilson.
He already is hurt.
That's what I'm saying. You can't make that comparison because I think it is just so different. Yeah, Micah Parsons on the defense, that is a huge loss for them. But to say that it's less of a loss than if Jordan Love were to go out, I think it's kind of crazy too, because it's just two different sides of the ball that both need those players.
Yes, they both need the players. But again, there is nowhere close to the person to replace Micah Parsons. I mean, there's not that guy right now. And, we just talked to Jacob Westendorf about guys that have to step up. He didn't bring up Ngabare. Like, that's another cat. He's got a couple of sacks on the year, but that's another guy that now needs to get after it and be more effective for this Green Bay Packers team. We all want to put it on Rashawn Gary, but be realistic. Be honest with yourself. He is who he is at this point. Like, I got all excited just like you did. He had 7 sacks halfway through the year. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. Micah Parsons goes down. He actually is going to get double-digit sacks. When they traded for Micah Parsons, I came back the next day because I was up that day. I came back the next day and said the most pressure in that locker room is on Rashawn Gary now to go be a really good pass rusher on the other side, to go get double digits for the sacks for the first time in his career. And by golly, I thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to get to 12, 14 sacks this year after he got off to his great start. I said, okay, this worked. He's getting more one-on-one matchups. Here we go. Because the excuse and the thing always given to Rashawn Gary is, you know how many times he's double-teamed and can't get away and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that was the reason before why he couldn't get to the quarterback. Well, what do you think's going to happen now? It's going to be the same thing. They're going to double team Rashawn Gary again and force somebody else to get to him. Game's not played on paper. But if the game was played on paper, you don't have a name on the piece of paper that you can look at and go, this dude will get home consistently if they're drawing a double on Rashawn Gary. There's not one person on this roster that you can look at and go, yep, he's going to get home. If Rashawn Gary's getting double-teamed, I know Van Ness will win his one-on-one. If he's getting double-teamed, I know Ngabari's going to win his one-on-one. Those guys aren't that. Not right now. Now, maybe one of those two will break out and become a star in the next 3 weeks and into the playoffs. And next year, you're like, holy crap, this guy blew up because of the Parsons injury. Maybe we get to that point. Am I holding my breath that that's going to happen? No, sir.
You're back in the same boat of hoping that Quay Walker or Jaron Cooper can be used in blitz packages or the cornerbacks can be used more creatively. That's a big ask for Jeff Hafley.
I've got thoughts. 320. We'll get into all that. I'm just telling you that you cannot sell me that Van Ness and Gary are the answers here. That's how this is going to get fixed. I have faith in neither one of them. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer, Charlie Houston, other side of the glass. Coming up next, providing Watson and Tom can actually play, do you think this team has enough to purely outscore opponents the rest of the way out? We'll discuss that straight ahead. Don't go anywhere.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in, hour number 2 here on a Green and Gold Monday. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie using other side of the glass. We're going to hop into time about this Packers offense. But some unfinished business from the last hour between a listener and Charlie Usen, the producer of this very fine show. There's apparently some beef going on here, and I'm not one to step in the way of any type of beef, so I will definitely allow the listener to go back and forth with Charlie if that's how we want to let this play out. Let's see how this goes. Ron and Rome, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. What's up, Ron? Ron, are you there? Ron, hello? Nope. I'll put him on hold. See if Charlie can figure it out. Let's go to Roger in Cudahy. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. What's up, Roger?
Yeah, Sparky, just given the situation, how critical is it that Morgan performs at a high level, especially considering what we have, our ability to deal with any shortcomings given the draft and our salary cap?
You mean next year?
I'm talking right now in terms of Morgan performing at a first round level. How important, how critical is that, given our challenges on the offensive line and going into next year, our salary cap and our limited draft choices?
No, I hear you, Roger. Thanks for the call. Don't be a stranger. Roger in Cudahy used to be a long-time caller in person back in the day in Milwaukee when we were doing this the first time around in Milwaukee. So Jordan Morgan has not played like a first-round draft pick, right? We can all agree on that. He has not played like a first-round draft pick. Jordan Morgan, however, has never been put into the position to play in which they drafted him to play. When they drafted Jordan Morgan, the general manager of this football team said, I see him as a left tackle. I think he's a left tackle. And then proceeded to play him at guard. That is how this played out. Now, you could say it's fair, unfair, whatever. They, being the Packers, always draft guys that can play at 3 positions or 2 positions, right? They never draft somebody at 1 position. If you ever look at mock drafts for the last 10, 15 years, if a guy can only play right tackle, they're not taking him. But if the guy can play right tackle and guard and center, then they'll draft that guy, even though he may not be as highly graded as the other one, because they like moving guys around the line of scrimmage. Fine, whatever. Do what you got to do, man. I'm not going to sit here and be critical because I've been more than critical of this whole thing with the offensive line. But it's worked most of the time. That's why I quit being critical of it. It's like, hey, they know what they're doing. In this situation here, this is a Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers situation. I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm more convinced of it now than ever. They drafted that guy with the idea of when Rasheed Walker's contract was up and he leaves, he will be the new left tackle for the next 10, 12 years or whatever. And in the meantime, they thought they could plug and play him anywhere else on the line and he would be fine because athletically, he's that good. The problem is it didn't work. So now you're down to him playing only 1 position, left tackle, which you will not see until next year unless they start giving him left tackle reps now with Rasheed Walker. Or just move Rasheed Walker completely off left tackle and let Jordan Morgan play left tackle and then potentially slide Rasheed Walker to right tackle if time is up for any extended period of time. But we know Jordan Morgan cannot play on the right side, so let's forget about that. So let's just say left tackle is it. If Jordan Morgan ends up playing left tackle for 10 years for the Packers at a Pro Bowl level, that ends up looking like a really good pick, even though the first couple of years have stunk. That will end up being great, even though it didn't start off great. That's what this comes down to. Now, if Jordan Morgan goes out there and plays left tackle next year and it's a turnstile, well, then it's a bust. And then they're going to have to move on quickly off of that next year because that's year 3. Now you got to go. Even though it's only 1 year at his natural position, you can't wait around to see what year 2 at the natural position is.
But then how the hell are you going to move on from that, though? That's the problem, too.
What do you mean?
You're paying so many different players. You don't have a first-round draft pick for the next 2 years.
Listen, stop. I don't care about the first-round draft pick. Let's establish that. First and foremost, I do not care. You want to know why I don't care? Because their left tackles are never first-round draft picks. Bakhtiari wasn't. Rasheed Walker was a 7th-round pick.
Morgan was supposed to be. You just said that.
But that's it. But that's about the extent of the list. They took another kid from, where was he? Mississippi State or whatever, and he was hurt his entire career, never even played. So that was the last time they took a first-round lineman. They will find linemen to play left tackle if need be, and it does not have to be a first-round pick. You know, we always talk about turning water into wine from a pitching perspective for the Brewers. They kind of do that with offensive linemen to a certain degree. They just figure it out with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks. They figure out how to coach them up and get them to play at a high level. Now, they clearly have an issue right now at right tackle because they don't have enough depth, it does not appear now, to deal with the Zach Tom injury. But up to this point, there's been no reason to question them figuring out how to put together an offensive line. They've never had a sieve of an offensive line in quite some time. I mean, the Bears battled it for years, wasting first-round picks and everything else trying to figure out offensive linemen, and they couldn't figure it out. How did they figure it out? They used free agency. They went and got some old guys.
Darnell Wright's the best part of their offensive line. He's a draft pick.
That is a draft pick, yes. But they went out and used some free agent money, got some vets in there to solidify that line, and clearly it's worked, and Caleb Williams, is getting protected way more than he was in the past. So everybody does it differently. But to me, you don't have to have a first-round pick in order to take care of a left tackle position right now if you're the Packers. You have enough history behind you picking offensive linemen that says you'll be okay even if this doesn't work out with Morgan and you have to go back into the draft again.
I guess I get where you're coming from, but at the same point, when you make a trade for a guy like Micah Parsons, and now you're seeing in this situation where he's hurt for the end of this season, which probably will not result in a Super Bowl now because of that, majority of next season, which may alter that Super Bowl odds.
I think there's majority of next year. Micah Parsons and Tucker Kraft both will be back in September. Like, it's 9 months. 9 months starts in January, gets you to September. That's 9 months. Worst case scenario, he's back October, I guess, but I still think he's back in September.
Tucker 12 months was the long end of that diagnosis, what they said.
Have you seen Micah Parsons?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
You have to think about it from the longest time period.
No, I'm not going to be negative like you.
That's not being negative. That's being realistic. Are you kidding me?
Nobody looks at ACL injuries anymore and says a year. Everybody says 9 months. It's 9 months. That's what it is. 9 to 10 months. Like I said, worst case scenario, it's October. Either way, they'll be fine. Tucker Kraft will be back, same time frame, probably earlier. He'll probably be back by week 1. I'm not worried about next year. That's not even a concern. If we're talking about Jordan Morgan, which is what Roger and Cudahy brought up, that's how we got here because it wasn't a topic, then yes, it is all about that next year at that left tackle position for him to get up and get going. So next year at that offensive line, Morgan's at left tackle, Banks is at left guard, Ryan maybe is at center still. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. And then Belton's at right guard and Zach Tom's at right tackle. There's your 5 offensive linemen. That's it. Your line set. As long as Jordan Morgan doesn't suck, I think that offensive line is more than good enough to win and keep this offense going in the right direction.
What do you do if Jordan Morgan sucks at the beginning of next season? Like for 3 games, he's just one of the worst.
Right.
Like, what's the plan then?
I think I think you have to still draft linemen this year. I think that was the plan coming in either way. You draft linemen every year.
But you need to draft other positions. It's just frustrating. Cornerback?
Listen. Corner, obviously. But every
defensive line, other edge rushers?
Every year, no, I don't think they're going to worry about edge rushers unless they move on from Rashad Gary, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But every year, you're not used to this. You root for the Bears. But every year, you should take a quarterback and you should take 1 or 2 offensive linemen. Every year, regardless of what you have. And the other thing, as a Packer fan is, what do they like to do? As many picks as possible. So, yeah, he goes in without picks. He's going to trade back 2-3 times and multiple rounds to make sure he gets, 8 to 10 guys probably out of this draft. Still, he's going to try and supplement this because, again, salary cap situation is not going to be the best in the world for this team either. So you are going to have to use that draft class to fill in some of the holes on this roster going into next year. And he's going to do it again by trading back a couple of times. But they are always going to take offensive linemen And I'm pretty sure Goody's at the point now of wanting to take a quarterback damn near every year if he can. So that's how this is going to look. Then, yes, you're right. Corner needs to be addressed. Defensive tackle needs to be addressed. Those two for sure. And then after that, do what you want. I don't really care. They need 2 corners at least in this next draft class. Probably need 1 or 2 defensive tackles in this draft class. And then probably at least 1 or 2 offensive linemen. There's your draft. If they don't take a quarterback, I mean, that right there is what? 6 guys. And you figure they're going to be somewhere between 7 and 10 probably before that draft is done. So 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive tackles, 2 corners. That's 6. And that still leaves you with 2 or 3 more players if you want to go in a certain direction.
You can maybe go wide receiver if you're going to lose a couple of those guys this season too. Off-season.
Maybe. Yeah, could go. But even, I mean, without Romeo Dobbs, the top of that wide receiver group stays, right? So Watson is still there. Golden is still there. Jaden Reed is still there. Those guys all remain in place. Now, injury history of all
healthy,
of them.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Injury history of all of them obviously is a concern going into next year. But that's how it lines up as far as what this roster looks like. And then you get Tucker Kraft back as well, and you get Musgrave back. And then see what happens from there. Hey, Musgrave looked all right yesterday. I mean, and like I said yesterday after the on the post-game show with Tommy Wirtz tonight, if you missed it, just like every other show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, go to wisportsradio.com to listen to it back in podcast form or wherever you download your favorite podcast. All these people about, oh, Tucker Kraft, yards after a catch. Man, he showed you all yesterday. Did you see that roll? Man, that roll was legit. He rolled a good 2 or 3 yards. Don't come at me anymore about yards after catch. Luke Musgrave will roll himself as many yards as he wants at the end of the day.
Oh, that's just awful. We're talking about him rolling on the ground.
Smart. Using the brains.
Be nice if he could just not be a baby giraffe, like we say all the time.
I don't care if he doesn't get a yard after catch all year. If you keep catching the ball 20 to 30 yards downfield, I do not care.
Probably he doesn't do that consistently enough either. He gets it; it'll hit his hands a lot, and sometimes it just falls to the ground more often than not.
He did good yesterday.
He did good. I'll give him yesterday.
I don't have a problem with
you gotta find the positives anywhere
with him whatsoever. Yeah, see, he did really well, no question about that. When the Bucks win, you win is still going on, but we're going to talk about Frosties. If you love Wendy's classic chocolate and vanilla Frosty flavors, there's some big news. There are all new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. Same creamy treat you've always loved. Now they flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Okay, well, we got the Frosty Swirl, strawberry, brownie, batter, and caramel, and the Frosty Fusions, Oreo, brownie, caramel crunch, Pop-Tart, strawberry, and now Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion. Made with swirls of sweet, gooey snickerdoodle sauce and chunks of cinnamony snickerdoodle cookies. It's full-on cookie nostalgia. So preheat those mouth ovens because the Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion is here. I have to read it fast because otherwise I stumble. So I have to read it fast. I'm sorry. I'll read it again. Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion. Seriously delicious. It's Charlie's favorite. The iconic Frosty mixed with sweet snickerdoodle cookies. It's gotta be Wendy's. All right, take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. We are going to talk more now about this offense. Providing Watson and Tom can come back and play this year, do you think this team has enough to purely outscore opponents the rest of the way out? Do they have enough to outscore opponents? Knowing the defense is not going to be the same without Micah Parsons. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Pfeiffer here, Charlie Usen over there. And there are good things to take away from yesterday's game, obviously, this being one of them. Highlight courtesy of CBS. About 40 yards for Josh Jacobs on that one. That was definitely pass interference. He pulled his arm back. I'm not quite sure what Tony Romo's definition of pass interference is, but that was definitely pass interference on that previous play. Highlight courtesy of CBS. Talking about this offense right now, and providing Watson Tom can come back and play here at some point, do you think this team has enough to purely outscore opponents for the rest of the season? If you missed the Jacob Westendorf interview last hour from SI, he said that his understanding from the people he's talking to is that Christian Watson will have to deal with pain tolerance and range of motion issues potentially with this shoulder injury that he is suffering. So he clearly is not going to be right the rest of the year. So if he is in a tremendous amount of agony after getting hit, that may be the last time you see Christian Watson. That's going to be what he's going to have to deal with now.
So it's just going to be Zach Tom from earlier in the season.
That may be Zach Tom again with this knee injury. We don't know about Zach Tom at all. We haven't heard, other than there's no structural damage. I believe that was Tom Silverstein of the Journal Sentinel. But that's where we're at on both of those guys. But again, providing they play, because they don't play, it's completely over. But providing they both play, do you think this team has enough to purely outscore opponents the rest of the season? Because the understanding is this defense is going to take a step back, obviously, without Micah Parsons with his torn ACL. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Let's go to John and Franklin. You're next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, John?
Hey, guys. Appreciate the program. Appreciate the chance to have some conversation about that disaster of a game yesterday. We all need a little bit of talking through. My position has evolved from where I was yesterday, and I'm with you on Romo. The second half of that game, I just started turning the sound off because that guy was pissing me off.
Yep.
I don't know what he was looking at. You could see the cornerback holding his arm back. If you're not sure, then don't go spouting your mouth off. Well, my wife's like, why isn't the sound on? And then she looked on my face, and then, yeah, she knows.
He was sure. He watched the slow motion replay. He saw it. He was damn sure what he saw. He still said the wrong thing.
Spark, and it was literally insult to injury, right? And as far as your question, yesterday, I was in a different place, and I'm in a place now. And I am not giving up on this team. We have come too far to just throw in the towel now, even though I didn't see the team kind of respond in the fourth quarter the way I would have liked them to. I'm gonna give them a pass on that. We've got a great coach and we've got a great defensive coordinator. I hear this all the time. Well, they're going to have a chance to prove it, and I'm willing to say it's possible. I don't know if we can outscore. I think we could get Watson on the field. You sure as hell ain't going to see him in the post. But
you might have him running. You might have him running as a decoy down the field. Yeah, you might. Yeah,
precisely, exactly. Where he's not going to get hit, and they still got to pay attention to him because they can't leave him alone. Because even one-on-one, he can catch something. He just happened to be in a terrible position. Surtain made an insane great play. It's too bad our safety didn't make the play on a similar ball later in the game. Could have changed fortunes. It just didn't happen. It wasn't our day. But I'm not going to throw the towel in. When they made this trade, I thought all this stuff through. And I thought, what if he gets there? We made the right trade. It was the right move. Well, I love the attitude Micah has brought. I love the way it's permeated the defense and the other players. It's unfortunate, but we're going to move on from this, and either we're going to we're going to put it back together or not. But I want to see our coaches. This is their time now. Figure this out and go into Chicago and shut them up because they're quacking right now.
Oh yeah. They're definitely quacking. It's going to be loud by the end of the week. Thanks for the call, John. Loud by the end of the week. Again, Brat Bowl 3. Brat Stop in Kenosha. Brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha and Siding Unlimited. We'll be there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 9 to noon with John Kuhn. Rami Makloff will be out there. Noon to 2 with Mason Crosby, Mitch Thunder, and Ellis Thunder will be out there. I'll be out there. Charlie Usen will be out there with me. If you ever wanted to see what a Bears fan looks like up close, he'll be out there from 2 to 5. There'll be a host of other Bear fans, far more obnoxious than Charlie there as well. At 670, the Score will be there too, broadcasting their shows. So if y'all want to come, I mean, I can't drink on the air. They won't let me. But if y'all want to come have a couple beverages for me, since we have to be surrounded by Bears fans on Friday, more than likely, the more Packer fans that could get there would be really nice.
Well,
really
afterwards they can buy you a drink because you might need it then after, being sad all day.
Being surrounded by Bears fans, I'm out of there, son. I am out of there. As soon as that thing is over, see ya. Don't ever put me in near these many Bear fans again. Goodbye. Because there's going to be a ton of Bears fans. I've done this 2 other years. This is year 3. There's always a lot of Bears fans that come up for the Score, which I get. I just want some Packer fans down there to have my back when I'm in the middle of this whole thing. Because you're not going to worry about Rami's back. Obviously, he's fine. He works for the Score, too, in Chicago, so he's all good. But Thunder's going to need some backing up from noon to 2. I'll need some backing up from 2 to 5, so
Thunder's a hugger and a lover. He'll be fine. He'll just give people some hugs, and he'll be okay. See, if you were less cold and heartless, you could give people some hugs, and they'd be okay.
I mean, you got me to laugh. I'll give you that. You got me to laugh at the end of the day. Got a text here on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. They have the talent and offense to outscore teams from the 262, but not the play caller from the 262. Agree or disagree, Charlie?
Disagree. I feel like Matt LaFleur so far this season, like we've given credit to Jordan Love for taking steps since that first half of the year where we kind of felt like they didn't have that identity. Matt LaFleur's taking those next steps too. He seems a lot more confident in his play calling. I want to give him some chances to get through with this new offense.
There was a back-to-back play sequence in that game where Wilson ran into the back of his offensive lineman, which, for the love of God, like, did he close his eyes to run forward? And then he throws a screen pass after that. And it was over. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we at this point? That back-to-back play sequence I didn't like. But for the most part, I agree with you. Like, I like Matt LaFleur as a play caller. I know a lot of people don't. They think he gets too conservative or whatever the case may be. But now you start talking about offensively. We're asking, can they outscore teams? Is that how Matt LaFleur is going to approach it? Or is Matt LaFleur going to approach it as keep away? Keep the football away from the offense. Let's have some time-consuming drives and do that. Because if he approaches it the second way, that means now Jacobs and Wilson and the line have to do their job running, and it's not going to be relying on Jordan Love throwing the ball to throw up a bunch of points. They're going to try and run their way to a win.
Well, and I think Jordan Love at his best is throwing the ball between 25 to 28 times a game, not 40 times a game, not 19 times a game. He needs to be in that mid-20s range, and I think he gets the most confidence from that type of area. And then going back to what you're saying about that 2-play sequence drive, that's not uncommon across the NFL. That's how a lot of teams are ending these drives that they don't feel confident in. The Bears were doing that against the Packers. They did like 3 different times in the first half against the Packers. Other teams across the league with the best play callers, if they just don't feel like they like the vibe of a drive, if they feel like that the first couple of plays didn't really go anywhere, that somebody made a mistake and it's just going to be too much to overcome, then they just got to go into this mode of, all right, let's start playing for the next drive. That's just kind of the style of play calling right now. So I wouldn't even blame Matt LaFleur all that much for that. Yeah, it's not great. He could be more creative. He could be different from other people, but also he's not. So you kind of have to give him a little bit of a break there. I think with this Packers offense, yes, I want to see Jordan Love stay in that mid-20s range, but also you have to find a way to keep these offensive linemen and Josh Jacobs healthy this late in the season if you do want any chance to make some sort of run in the playoffs, if you want to be able to compete against the Bears and the Ravens coming up here. Even the Vikings are playing better over the past couple of weeks, so that's not going to be a super easy game like the first time they faced them. This is a situation where I think Matt LaFleur has a really great opportunity to make a name for himself even more than he already has so far in his career. This is a shot that says, a lot of people are counting you out. Show them that you and your offense can pick up that defense for once this season.
262. Absolutely, they have enough. In Love, I trust. This is from Jake and Dowsman. They didn't have Parsons before, and we still had a chance the last few seasons. The loss of Parsons is big, but feels more amplified due to seeing how it was with him on the field. Green Bay is a good football team, and good teams will find a way. Jake and Dowsman. I'm curious about something. All you positive people, I'm really curious about something. If this team loses to the Bears, however they lose to the Bears, are you going to give them the out of, well, they didn't have Watson, they didn't have Tom, they didn't have Parsons, they didn't have Evan Williams, they didn't have possibly Hobbs. We don't know about Hobbs. They didn't have Hobbs. All this. Are you going to give them the out? Or is it going to be the blame game after the game? I knew Matt LaFleur wasn't that good. Goody didn't draft well enough. Jordan Love killed him again, blah, blah. Or is that what it's going to be? Because I'll tell you something, what I think it's going to be based on all of this positivity y'all got coming at me, which is good. Everybody should try to have more positivity in their life. I have a feeling when we do that Green Bay football postgame show Saturday night, powered by Lakeland University with Tommy Wirtz and myself, I have a feeling Saturday night, if they lose that game, it's going to be everybody hell-bent that don't like LaFleur, that don't like Love and those guys, seeing a chance to pile on and forget about everybody that's not playing in a football game because of injuries. That is what I am concerned about.
And I can get that. And I think that's kind of unfortunate in Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst's situation there, because I think it really depends on how they lose this game, in my mind. If they go out there and lose it, they can still go out there and win this game. That's how the NFL has gone the entire season.
If Tom are hurt, they're not winning
It's the entire season. The Browns beat the Packers earlier in the year with whoever, Joe Flacco, 90-year-old Joe Flacco playing quarterback.
With a great defense.
I mean, but the Bears just took down that great defense by a lot.
Later in the year, yeah.
I mean, this is a situation where, again, anybody can go out there and win. So I won't count out the Packers yet. It's coming from a Bears fan.
I'm telling you right now, if Watson, Tom, and Parsons don't play, they're not winning. Period.
I think they can still put up a competitive fight. And I think if they go out there and the problems are penalties, like we've seen over the past couple of weeks, whether it's deserved or not, it's still been a problem. They've gotten way too many yellow flags.
Way too many, yes.
This team, the pass rush is just not going out there and performing without a Micah Parsons. The cornerbacks are struggling out there. That's not on the coaching staff or the front office at this point. Nate Hobbs, the fact that you brought up his name is probably crazy to people because some people probably forgot he's on this team at this point.
I remember because he got hurt and I saw him on the field.
You have like nobody else on this team that like can back that up if those guys aren't playing. So I don't know if you can blame Gutekunst. If they go out there and Jordan Love looks awful all of a sudden, and it's because Matt LaFleur is calling this really conservative play calling that's resulting in Jordan Love being over confident on his own, I think that's a situation where you can go out them. But you really have to watch this game and see what happens. It can't all just be on them immediately.
If I'm Matt LaFleur, if I have to start Kennard, my thing is this. If you get beat, just pull the dude down. I don't want Love getting killed because of you. So if you get beat, just grab him. Like, I'll deal with the holding call. But if you get beat, I'm serious, grab him. And that goes with you, all the rest of you up front. Like, I don't want anything happening to Jordan Love at the end of this season that affects next season. We can't have that. Rasheed Walker, you get beat, trip him with your leg, do what you got to do, bring him down. Belton, you miscommunicate, somebody blows by you, trip him, do what you got to do, don't let him get there. If they throw the flag, they throw the flag. But we are not getting Jordan Love hurt at the end of this year in the situation that we're in. Like, it's just not happening.
Then just don't play him.
That's just it.
Put him on the bench. Sit him for the rest of the season. That's what Washington's doing right now with Jaden Daniels.
They just shut Jaden Daniels down, but Daniels has been hurt.
I get it, but then come up with the back pain for Jordan Love at this point, man. That's what they do for everybody else.
They're not going to do that because they still are in the playoffs.
I don't know. I would, if my coach went out there with that mentality.
Listen to me. If this won't be the situation, but let's say they were eliminated in week 16 and had or week 17, I guess, whatever it is. They're eliminated with one game to go. I wouldn't play him.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't play him the last game. If they were eliminated before the Vikings game, Malik Willis would start. I'm not playing him.
I just feel like if you're going out there in this game, though, with that kind of mentality of like the offensive lineman having to take down the defensive lineman, I don't know. If I'm the GM, I'm not happy with my head coach with that mentality. If you're going to go out there and play a football game, go out there and play a football game. If you don't feel like your quarterback is protected enough, don't play him. Don't play your running back. Manuel Wilson starts in this game then. Like, you have to make that decision. Don't just go out there and pretend like you're trying to play football.
Got a couple of texts coming in here. Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414. They're trying to help me here. The team that played with out Watson and Tom and won for plenty of the season can give up because of injuries. I'm not giving up. I'm just simply telling you, I don't see how they do this if those three dudes are out. That's all I'm saying. I don't see. If I'm wrong, I will gladly take all the smoke y'all want to throw at me on the post-game show and all the smoke you want to throw me on me next Monday when we do this show. Like, Sparky, you were wrong. I told you they were going to figure this out. I'll take the smoke gladly if it means beating the Bears. Now, here's person after my own heart right here. Carrie from Tosa. Not confident, but I'm, quote, hopeful. Or maybe that's delusional. 56 days until pitchers and catchers report. Now we're talking my language.
I remember Carrie last week was talking
56 days.
She just loves sports.
Yes.
So she's on that. She's ready to go with the calendar and everything.
56 days till pitchers and catchers report, Carrie. That's right. That is right. Tomorrow we're talking about that Brewers trade. I'll tell you right now. We'll touch on it a little bit today. Tomorrow, y'all are freaking out about that Brewers trade. You need to relax. Just take a breath. Like, it's okay. I had posted this long paragraph on Twitter. People are just losing their minds about this. I was like, wait a second. Everybody take a breath. Y'all don't forget what team you're rooting for and who they have and like everything that surrounds it. We'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow. And the Bucks tomorrow. Eric Name now on the bandwagon of they're going to do something big from the Athletic, which, again, if Eric Name says it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
And Chris Haynes loves to just keep talking, too, apparently.
To be honest, is making Chris Haynes a lot of money. I mean, he is making this dude some money. I mean, if I'm Chris Haynes, I'm trying to be, his win horse to LeBron. I want to be his guy the rest of his career and write the book when it's done. Like Windhorse has been LeBron's guy forever. That's how Windhorse got to ESPN, was riding LeBron's coattails back at Akron all the way up and through. And Windhorse is good at what he does. I'm not knocking him, but he got on to the best player and rode him from Cleveland to Miami to ESPN. And if I'm Chris Haynes, who's already making, I'm sure, a good amount of money, I'm riding Giannis all the way through too.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Might as well.
If Giannis is going to talk to me and only me, then let's roll.
And now that LeBron doesn't like Windhorse anymore, it doesn't even matter because he's big enough at ESPN that he doesn't even need LeBron.
Sorry, making millions a year.
Right.
It doesn't even matter. He got to where he wanted to go. That's exactly correct. Charlie using over there, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer here. Coming up, Charlie, sounds of the day. Don't forget, Potawatomi Sportsbook. That is the place to go to watch all of your favorite sports action. 2,000 square foot center screen. Over 30 different sporting events at one time on the screen. Yes, that much. Hockey, basketball, football, UFC, whatever you want to watch, they've got it there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 2 levels, all kinds of seating, tabletops, booths, single individual, like, They look like, what would you call them? They look like a rocking chair. They're not a rocking chair, but that's what it looks like. Very comfy. All of that going on there. And then the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, man. You kidding me? 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, homemade pastries and desserts each and every day. All kinds of great food. Wings, salads, wraps, burgers, all-day brunch. That is where you want to be for every sporting event. The Potawatomi Sportsbook. And you can always reserve a table or a seat ahead of time by simply going to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook to reserve your seat. There's a nominal fee, but that goes towards your food and beverage for that day when you go. So really it doesn't cost you anything. Take advantage of that today. Coming up next, Charlie Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie using other side of the glass. I know I've said I hate the Bears before. But man, I watched that whole freaking game. That whole freaking Bears game. And let me tell you something. I hate them more now than I did before. Want to know why? Let me tell you.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, so let me explain to you why I don't like them. This segment is brought to you by Prize Picks. Now, we all know that on Friday, we decided, or was it Thursday? Thursday, we decided that we were going to put together a lineup on Prize Picks here on the show. Okay, fine. So we put together our lineups. And our first lineup that we had there was involving Shedeur Sanders, Baker Mayfield, more than 219.5 yards. Baker Mayfield did that, 277. Bucky Irving, more than 20.5 yards. Didn't get it. It got 11. But we were running the flex play option. So we still had Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was right there. There he was. With every opportunity to score at the end. And we would have been good. No. Then I had another one that I did on Saturday. No, Sunday morning. It was Sunday morning. It was a half hour before kickoff. So 11:30, I get on there. I'm like, I'm going to go power play and go for it. I had Jackson Dart more than 199.5 yards, 246. I had Dak Prescott more than 223.5 yards, 294. I had Shedeur Sanders more than 182.5, 177. They were at like the 7-yard line. He didn't even have to throw a touchdown in order for that to happen on 2 different lineups. That defense screwed me.
Why'd you go with him in both? You should have switched it up a little bit.
Come on. Get out of here. I could not believe that. I'm literally on my couch going, oh my goodness, you're right there, dude. Come on. You're going to have like 3 cracks at this.
Chicago's got plenty of players you could put in there instead.
It's holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matches, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, like playing Shedeur Sanders or not, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks, which I was not right. We tried, though. It had been for Shedeur. We would have won. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. And then don't forget to, you can stack, which means you can take one player, go with that one player, 2 or 3 different variations. So, for instance, if it's Jordan Love, you can go more or less on touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards, whatever you want to do. Put another player in there, and away you go. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. It's prizepicks.com for details. Again, daily fantasy, more or less, 2 or more player stat projections, and away you go. All right, Charlie, what do you got?
We're going to start off staying in the NFL, and we're going to head over to the San Francisco 49ers, where Kyle Shanahan was asked a few questions about wide receiver Brandon Ayuk being put on the reserve/away from squad list. This is a situation that people have kind of forgotten about all year, but he just has not been with the team. Here's Kyle Shanahan speaking on the situation.
I mean, we've been playing the receiver group all year. I really have been hoping he would come back all year, but not one point was I really planning on it. So that would have been a great bonus. That would have been awesome. And would love to have BA out there. Would love to have that type of player. But that was something I realized early on wasn't going to come for a while. And there was nothing that made me sit there and think it was happening soon. So I think the rest of our team also.
Has he communicated to you or anyone else that he wasn't going to come back? Or has there been anyone that's been in touch with him at all?
No, not that I've talked to.
Is he out the picture of the 49ers now in the future?
I wouldn't say that's for sure been decided. I literally haven't had to think about BA or had a reason to think about him in a long time. He is under contract next year. BA's a guy we've had a relationship for a while. We've always liked BA. Everyone knows how good of a player he is. It's extremely unfortunate that it's gotten to this point, but when this year is over, we'll see where we're at.
Again, this is a guy that we know Packer Brass has liked since the draft. Since he was drafted. We know Packer fans and Packer front office members have liked Ayuk for a while. Now, I don't know if they have the wherewithal to do it because they gave up multiple ones to get Micah Parsons, but you would have to imagine there may be some sniffing around that goes on there, regardless of salary cap implications or not, that they may go sniffing around to see if they can bring in him to go with Watson and Reed and Golden going forward on this team.
If he wants to play. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing here. He went out there. He got paid by the 49ers.
Yep.
Like, this is a situation where he should be on the field with this team, but for some reason, he's still angry with them. I don't know if I'd want to add that to my locker room.
That's something that the other teams are going to have to figure out, I guess. All right, clip 2.
And next up, we're going to head over to Yahoo Sports Daily, where Stephen Godfrey was discussing Diego Pavia's post-Heisman.
Stephen Godfrey?
Yes. He has like 40,000 followers on
all
Twitter.
right,
Better
cool,
than me.
Fine. Yeah, great. Okay.
He was discussing Diego Pavia's post-Heisman ceremony actions.
We don't have to make the Heisman about what Diego Pavia did at an after party. And also, I do have to extend some grace as a 44-year-old to a 22, 24-year-old. I was a dirtbag at that age. Diego is a dirtbag right now. I just didn't have cameras on phones. We were all like, not all of us. It's just not the end of the world. I'm sorry. This kid played his behind off for Vanderbilt and elevated a program that I don't think anyone in the world could have predicted could have actually even been a playoff contender in any scenario. So, yeah, he made a boneheaded decision. He got emotional in the moment. This is also, though, the makeup of what made him a great quarterback and a great game-breaking quarterback for a program like Vanderbilt. So it's hard to turn that off.
I don't know if this guy's got a relationship with Pavia or not. I have no idea. I find it interesting. He calls himself a dirtbag. I'm sure his parents are proud. But this is the thing. I saw it. I don't know what you all thought. I had one name, Johnny Manziel. That's what came in my mind. I watched it and said, oh, hell, that's Johnny Manziel. I don't want that dude. I'm out. Now, that doesn't mean that General Managers League looked at that and didn't think that. They may not bother some GMs. Didn't bother a lot of GMs that drafted that in Cleveland that went down the Manziel route. Said, he'll be fine. He'll grow up. He'll mature. He's just a kid, like that dude said. He'll be fine. No, he wasn't. He had himself in all kinds of problems. I think he's a hell of a quarterback. I don't think I'd touch him.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead.
And last up here, we're going to head over to the WWE because you had me play those clips from Pat McAfee last week on the show. And let's hear from the finale.
I need more time than this. Go ahead.
With blows to the jaw and again into the sleeper hold. Just those primitive instincts of Gunther kicking in as bloodthirsty as you like. Gunther is feasting on the carcass of John Cena's career.
Who's this dude?
John Cena has tapped out.
Here is your winner by submission, the Ring General, Gunther.
Never heard of the guy. Never heard of him. Never seen the guy. Had no idea who the guy was. Saw the clip come up. Couple of different things. Grown adults crying in the audience. I think, hold on. I got to bring it back up for Charlie. What?
You knew that was going to happen.
No. But I also think there was a member of this staff also who was crying too, based on things that I saw on social media, Josh Albrecht. He also was having a problem, I think, with it being over and everything else. Go look at his social media posts. You tell me if it looks like he was been crying. So he also was struggling with this. Josh, I'll be honest with you, Josh Albrecht, if you're listening. I always thought this dude was the most overrated wrestler of all time. Like one of the most gimmicky, over the rated type guys that I've seen ever in WWE.
Yeah, this got me. Hashtag thank you, Cena. Yeah. Hashtag thank you, Cena. Yeah, he posted a couple times.
Right? Doesn't it look like it? Hey, there's a lot of adults that struggled with this thing. I agree with a majority that said that is not how you send that dude out if you respect him and if you think he's at that level. Like, you don't. There was I think it was AEW, the way they send Sting out, that is the correct way. He wins, whatever, it's done. Not John Cena smiling before he taps out. He literally was smiling before he tapped out, man.
Yeah, that's a little crazy to me.
Come on.
I feel like you got to let him go out better than that.
And then this all the dramatic stuff. Oh, I'm going to bow to everybody around the ring. Oh, stop.
Gave him the belts and stuff.
Bowing at people. Shut up.
So cheesy. All of it was so cheesy.
I've never been a Cena guy, but that's way over the top nuts. Whatever. We're moving on. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up on the other side, time for a green and gold update. Did Micah Parsons' injury get some people paid?
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is hour number 3 here on Monday, December 15th. One of the more depressing green and gold Mondays you'll have, coming off of a season-ending injury to Micah Parsons. Still don't know if Watson or Tom or Evan Williams or Nate Hobbs or any of these cats are actually going to play in this game against the Bears. But we are going to be Brat Bowl 3 at the world-famous Brat Stop in Kenosha, coming up this Friday, all-day live event starting at 9 a.m. with 670 The Score in Chicago. They'll have their shows there. Wisconsin Sports Radio Network will have our shows there as well. Plus, bring your new or gently used coats to donate to Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha's annual coat drive. It's Brat Bowl 3 this Friday starting at 9 a.m. at the iconic Brat Stop in Kenosha, right there off the Highway 50 exit off I-94. Brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha. For a great experience, visit ZieglerKenoshaSubaru.com and by Siding Unlimited. Visit SidingUnlimited.com for their honest price guarantees. And like I said before, Thunder and I are going to really need some help here. I'm pretty much going to beg and plead all week to have Packer fans show up. Please, I beg you. Because otherwise, it's going to be just all Bears fans, and I'm going to want to cry for 3 hours. So please send support, send help. If you know people that live down, if you can't make it, like let's say you're listening to WNFL in Green Bay, or you're listening to the game in Wausau, or you're listening to the game in Duluth or Superior. And you're like, my brother lives down in Sparky's neck of the woods out southeastern Wisconsin, or I got a buddy I went to school with. He lives down in Kenosha, whatever. Hey, man or girl, whoever y'all know that can possibly come at some point with Packer gear on, preferably, to let everybody know you're a Packer fan, come hang out with us by our radio station, because we're both going to be in one room, right? So the score is going to be up on the stage, and then we're going to be in another part of the bar. So as many Packer fans as we can conjure up to come give us some support, that'd be great, because otherwise it's just going to be ugly for, 8 hours. It's going to be really ugly in that bar.
I feel like most of our listeners today have been relatively positive. So if that continues throughout the week, maybe people will still show up, Sparky.
I don't think you understand. I know you don't understand. It's like going to a Brewers-Cubs game in American Family Field and having to deal with Cub fans. That's 3 hours. I mean, we're going into this thing by ourselves for 8. That's a lot. That's worse than a Brewers-Cubs game. And there's going to be a lot of Bears fans, I'm telling you. So please.
Wisconsin Knights are resilient, Sparky. You'll be okay.
That's the problem. It's in Kenosha where a bunch of Bears fans live. Do you understand me? And Racine. So already, they don't even have to come across the border to come to this thing. And you're right there on the border of Gurnee and Waukegan and all that. Short 15-minute drive or whatever.
You can hit up the outlet malls after and take some steam off.
I need Packer fans at Brat Bowl 3 at the Kenosha Brat Stop this Friday. Please, please, please. Beg of you, please come, because we're going to need your help.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, let's get to it. Now, again, there is no talk from Matt LaFleur today, which is kind of weird. Normally, LaFleur talks on a Monday, one way or the other. No Matt LaFleur today. However, Micah Parsons has taken to social media, and he is talking. First, he has the picture of a lion, says September.
That's stupid.
Okay. Hey, fine. I'm excited. Back in September, cool with me, or was it a tiger? Maybe it's a tiger. Either way.
It was a lion.
Was it a lion? Okay. That's kind of weird you play the lines. Either way. Still fine. Now he takes and puts this on Twitter as well. I may be sidelined, but I am not defeated. This injury is my greatest test, a moment God allowed to strengthen my testimony. I believe he walks with me through this storm and chose me for this fight because he knew my heart could carry it. I'm deeply grateful to the Packers organization and my teammates for their unwavering support, love, and belief in me during this season. I trust his timing, his plan and his purpose, I will rise again. Micah Parsons. So that's good. That does nothing, however, for me for this week against the Bears or for this team at all. They need more than that. That's nice. I appreciate the message and all of that. That's all good. But they need more. Here's the question. Maybe I'm the only one that brought this up today. I'm not sure. I didn't listen to every minute of every show today. Will the Micah Parsons injury get Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst extensions? Because they both go into the lame duck seasons next year. And policy has talked about he doesn't really like lame duck seasons. He'd much rather prefer it not to be, but in certain situations, it might have to be. Okay? So do you think this Micah Parson injury essentially gets LaFleur and Goody their extension? Because upon Micah Parsons getting hurt, they were in the process of beating that Broncos team and snapping their 10-game winning streak. They were in the process of knocking on the door of the 1 seed, sitting in that 2 seed with every opportunity to win this division. And everything that they wanted was sitting in front of them and seemed very doable. This wasn't like, oh, Packer fans drinking the green and gold Kool-Aid. They weren't going to go to the Super Bowl. You all are crazy. No. This was legitimate Super Bowl contending Green Bay Packers, especially after the first half of that game. You were feeling like, hey, man, like this team here, somebody's going to have to really step on them in order to beat them. And then, poof, everybody gets hurt. So if you're at policy and you're looking at this, in my mind, I'm not holding LaFleur and Goody responsible for Micah Parsons getting hurt, tearing his ACL. I'm not going to put that on them. I don't even care what happens after this. I'm not putting that on them either. You just lost the guy we gave up 2 1s and Kenny Clark for. Like, no. And if you don't have a right tackle and wide receiver for a couple of weeks or whatever it's going to be, we still don't know. It doesn't sound like neither one are season ending between Tom and Watson, but you don't know how long you're going to be without them. If they can't play for the next couple of weeks, may not win either of those games. Again, can't really say I put that on them either. You're already without Tucker Kraft. That already is a thing. You're without Elton Jenkins. Lost him already, too. You're without Devontae Wyatt. Lost him, too. He ain't coming back. So really, for all of you anti-LaFleur fans, I think that injury got Matt paid. I think that injury got Goody paid. I think they both get contract extensions at the end of the year because both can say, Ed, we were right there. He don't get hurt. We're going. Like, we're good. We're all right. We're going to go win that thing. And I don't think Ed Policy can argue against it. So in a weird, crazy way, I got both of them paid regardless of what happens. Because if they would have got to the playoffs and lost in round 1, wow, shaky ground for Matt LaFleur. Shaky ground for Matt LaFleur if they lose the first playoff game with what they had all year. Big problems for Matt LaFleur, I think. But now we'll never know. So now you can just say, hey, you know how good we are. You saw how good we are. Pay me my money. I would not be surprised if they both get, say, 3-year contract extensions. I don't think he'll go 5. But I think you could go 3 and 3, LaFleur and Goody. So that essentially gives you 4 years left on this deal, on their deal, after you give them 3-year extensions this year going into the last year. So I'll go 3 years and 3 years on both, mainly because now, no matter what happens going forward, policy can't put on them.
I know I gave Matt LaFleur a lot of love earlier.
Let me throw out the number quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Nicolay Law Talking text line. Do you think this Micah Parsons injuries gets LaFleur and Goody their extensions? 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250.
I know I gave a lot of love to Matt LaFleur earlier.
Called him a great play caller.
I do. I think he is really good. I think he, again, has taken strides this season. I think he's made steps at least halfway through the season. I don't know if this guarantees him a contract extension. I think Brian Gutekunst has. I think this is the end of that experiment for the first year, and they needed to see how that would play out, and it's worked out well for him. All his players that have come back from injuries, Christian Watson, this is all awesome. It's all Brian Gutekunst has done a great job. I think he's earned his contract extension at this point. I think Matt LaFleur, these next 3 games are going to be extremely important in that first round of the playoffs. They're going to be extremely important for this Green Bay Packers team moving forward here, especially for his offense. Is he going to adjust again? Is he going to take another step now that you have to rely fully on this offense that you haven't been able to fully rely on all year? This is a situation where he's going to be tested just like Brian Gutekunst was tested throughout the first 14 games of this season. with Micah Parsons, and it worked out until he got hurt. You're done testing him. Matt LaFleur, this is really where it comes down to it for him to kind of control the Packers' destiny here as the leader of this team on the field.
It's interesting because we talk about getting LaFleur an extension and Goody an extension. Does this help get Halfley to stay in Green Bay after this year if this defense falls apart? Because, again, wherever he goes, they don't have Micah Parsons. That much I know. So wherever he goes, if this defense implodes the last 3 weeks and they start giving up 30, 35 points, whatever it is, you don't have to worry about Jeff Halfley taking the Giants out because the Giants quickly going to be like, hey, we're good. Never mind. You don't have Micah. We're good. We're out. You can stay in Green Bay. I'm telling you, it could change that quickly. If you want to talk about where the pressure lies for who's going to get what, I think Halfley's next paycheck is on the line far more than it is for LaFleur at this point.
But I also feel like, you look at the teams that are potentially going to be looking for head coaches. The Giants do have a pretty good pass rusher, Brian Burns, and 2 really young pass rushers who are very talented and maybe just need the right coaching behind them to get them going. And Kayvon Thibodeau and some of these other players. You look at
just got Abdul Carter.
Exactly. He's a guy that just needs a push right now from his coaching staff, apparently, because he doesn't want to be on the field half the time. You look at Las Vegas. They have Max Crosby. That's a pretty good pass rusher, and they're probably going to want to move on from Pete Carroll because that experiment has just gone completely out the window.
They ought to move on from Max Crosby. That's
potentially, but if
you got 2 1s and a Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle, I'm just telling you, if you got 2 1s and Pro Bowl defensive tackle for Micah Parsons, you would have to assume he can generate similar type compensation coming back for the Raiders.
And then another guy that I was talking about earlier with some other guys in the office is Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. He's a guy who could potentially be losing his job this season too with the way that's gone downhill. There's Myles Garrett on that defense. That's 3 teams that could be looking for a new head coach that have amazing defensive pieces.
I absolutely cry myself to sleep at night if I was a Browns fan, if they hired Halfley to be my coach. I would just absolutely just be crying myself to sleep. What are we doing? If you believe in Shedeur Sanders, why are you giving me a defensive-minded coach, man? What are we doing? No. Either bring me his father to coach this team or give me somebody that's got a lot of credibility running an offense. Like, that's the only way you can think if you're in charge of that team right now. And again, I know they got a baseball guy or they had a baseball guy. And that is something that I will always argue for, being a play caller over a defensive mind, especially when you have a young coach. Now, if you have Patrick Mahomes and they move on from Andy Reid and Spagnuolo takes over in Kansas City, okay,
they'll figure it out.
That doesn't bother me because that staff's going to stay together and he's going to have Nagy or whoever he has. That relationship's still going to be there with Mahomes. You don't got to worry about that. You got a young cat coming up. That's the other thing too. Quickly, I'm sidetracking myself left and right. Andy Reid retired now with Mahomes out?
Maybe.
Because if you believe what I believe, which is Micah Parsons is back in September, and if you believe Patrick Mahomes is back in September, all is good in the world. But if he thinks Patrick Mahomes is out till like November or middle to end of November and they can't compete, this is your time to step aside and be like, it's been real. I'm done. And Steve Spagnuolo, it's all yours. And if you do it the way like a lot of people do, you retire right before game 1. Then they have no chance to go hire a real head coach. Your staff keeps their jobs for another year. Spagnuolo has to be the head coach for an entire season, and he gets his chance to show that he can be your replacement going forward for Patrick Mahomes. That's how you set up Spagnuolo to take over, because Spagnuolo deserves a job.
If I was Eric Bieniemy, I would be so angry. I know he's out of there. And
he's not getting a job.
But I'm just saying, at the same time, he waited so long as the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs for Andy Reid to retire, basically, and then just never got the opportunity and went to Washington and just crapped the bed. Man.
Yep. And he's this Sherman Lewis. He's this era's Sherman Lewis. No question. 414, Goody isn't going anywhere because of the Parsons deal. Matt LaFleur, he needs winning the division and playoff game to lock anything in. I don't think so. I don't. I really don't. I don't. First of all, if the Bears beat the Packers this week and there is no Watson, there is no Zach Tom, there's no way I'm blaming LaFleur. There's just no chance. I don't care what happens. I'm not blaming LaFleur. And I'm not blaming Love if he throws 3 picks in the game either, because everything all of a sudden becomes desperation mode at that point. And I promise you, Jordan Love is going to get super ultra aggressive on his throws. Then he is going to start looking like Brett maybe in an instance or two where he decides to hell with it. I'm going to have to do this myself. Here we go. And I'm going to try and play Superman. And that's when he gets himself in trouble, right? Normally. Thankfully, this year, we haven't seen that. But if they both play the rest of the way, Watson and Tom, and they lose the last 3 games, then you have to make that determination of how much of that is on LaFleur, how much of that is on those 2 guys maybe not being 100% and not being able to do it. Because they're saying Watson's range of motion is an issue, which means what? Forget high pointing the ball and going and getting yourself over your head if there's going to be that much pain. Jacob Westendorf was on earlier from SI, who broke the story and said, hey, man, they're not going to know really how much pain tolerance he can have until he takes the first hit on the shoulder.
Great. Glad we got to find out then. And honestly, if he takes 1 hit and it does hurt in the middle of the game, he's done for the game.
My question is, can it be worse?
Yes, it can get worse.
So if he takes a shot, if it's just, no matter how hard he gets hit, you're not going to make that shoulder worse than it is, or depending on how hard he gets hit, you can make that injury even worse than it is already.
I think you can always make it worse. I don't know.
If
it's at the point where you can't make it worse, then I think it's pretty bad. Like, I think that's a point. Throughout my own experience with shoulder injuries, it started as a torn labrum. I kept playing, kept getting hit. It became a torn socket in my shoulder, which I kept playing, kept getting hit. And then it became a broken bone in my back because I kept playing, kept getting hit. This is a situation where if it's fine right now to get back on the field, that tells me there's always room for that to get worse. And you have to be very careful with a player like that.
Q on the Dugout YouTube chat must have just got into the show here. Goody under more pressure now. No, Goody's done. Goody's got an extension. Don't worry about him. He's going to get taken care of. He's under the least amount of pressure. Of Goody and LaFleur, I think Goody's already going to get an extension. LaFleur, on the other hand, that's the one that I think may have been up in the air had they been able to stay healthy. Because if they win the division and go get bounced in the playoffs right away, then I think LaFleur might have been on some shaky ground. Now, LaFleur can just be like, hey, man, nothing I can do about this. I don't care if Andy Reid was in here. He'd be in the same boat that I am right now. We lost one of the top premier pass rushers that we gave up all this to get to. He's gone. My defense no longer has a pass rush. On the offensive side of the football, I don't have a right tackle. I don't have a wide receiver. My star tight end is out. You must be joking. Like, there's no way. And if you're Ed Policy, how can you straight face look at him and go, well, figure it out? Get out of here and figure it out. No, pay me. That's why I say I think they both get 3-year extensions, regardless of how this thing is.
Well, and I think that's the biggest key to this is that Matt LaFleur is going to go get paid somewhere else. If you don't pay him, some team is going to go and give him a lot of money.
Yes.
And if that is something that you are worried about.
You brought up Cleveland earlier. Mm-hmm. If I'm Cleveland, I have a young quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. I've got, I think, a stud running back in Cleveland as well. Like, that to me makes a lot of sense if you're Cleveland to go get a Matt LaFleur and you've already got a defense. If they fire LaFleur, that staff's done, right? Mm-hmm. LaFleur could just bring Halfley with him to Cleveland.
Or Halfley will go be a head coach somewhere too. Again, like I said, Tennessee just drafted Cam Moore with the first overall pick. When he actually had some kind of help this season on the field, he looked okay. He just didn't have any help ever, especially from his head coach.
Yep.
Matt LaFleur knows Tennessee. He's been in Tennessee. That would be pretty easy to hop right back if you don't want to give him the love.
So that's why I say you cannot justify to me any way, shape, or form how they can afford to let him go. You just can't. You got to pay both of them. And this just solidifies it in my mind that you have to pay both of them. Hey, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. They did not win yesterday. After every Bucks win, sub by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast and get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. So, with the injuries yesterday and everything else, I want to know where we are now with expectations. The optimistic ones that I've heard throughout the show, fine. Is there anybody left that says this can still be a Super Bowl team? Is there anybody left that says this can still be a conference championship team? Is there anybody left that says they're going to win the division still? I would like to hear where we're all at on how good we think this team is now going forward. Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, streaming live on X and YouTube at WI Sports Radio. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Don't forget, if you're going to a Bucks home game, take that free shuttle to and from the Potawatomi Hotel Casino. I'll tell you right now, that Potawatomi Sportsbook is the place to be, though, right? Now, the shuttles work this way. They start leaving for the game 1 hour and 15 minutes before tip-off for the Bucks at Fiserv Forum. They start returning back to the Potawatomi Casino Hotel at the beginning of the third quarter. Now, you lose by 45 points, leave in the third quarter. I don't know. I always say don't let me catch you on there at the beginning of the third quarter, but I mean, yeah. I mean, there are exceptions.
Guys on,
I guess there are exceptions to every rule now that I think of it.
There might be some kind of cool deal that pops up or something from the Bucks if you're losing that bad. Maybe some fun timeout games that are fun to play.
Let me see if I got this straight. You're suggesting to be a sponsor. Hey, if the Bucks are down by 30, you get a free blank.
Maybe. The Bucks maybe could do something like that.
Yeah, here it is. Hey, if the Bucks lose by 30, get a free pooper scooper at Blaze
There you
Farm
go.
Free.
Yeah, something like that.
You like that?
I think that's great.
I could use a new pooper scooper.
Discount liquor or something. Get a 6-pack.
Yeah, whatever. Bottle of whiskey, something that goes along with that. I'm just saying, I don't know. But either way, now in order to get on the shuttle at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel, all you have to do is either make a same game day wager at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, then ask for your bracelet, or make a purchase at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, all that great food and drink specials they got going over there, and then ask for your bracelet. At that point, that gets you on the shuttle, and you park in their free parking garage, all nice and covered and outside of the elements for the most part. It's the way to go versus paying exorbitant pricing. Get more information on the shuttles to and from Bucks home games at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel by going to Potawatomi.com. Potawatomi.com. Have your expectations changed for the rest of the year with all the injuries yesterday? And if so, how have they changed? What now do you think of this Green Bay Packers team? And how far now do you think this Packers team is capable of going as we sit here today, Monday, December 15th? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky and Charlie with you. Okay. Expectations. I think they can maybe beat Minnesota. That will probably get them in. And then they lose the first round and it's over. That's where I'm at. And I'm telling you now, I do not, let me emphasize, do not want to see the Bears in the playoffs. No. No. I don't want a 2-7 matchup of Chicago, Green Bay at Soldier Field in the first round of the playoffs. I have no interest in watching that. I do not want to watch that. Do not want to be put in that situation. Now, similar to I did not want to deal with the Trader and the Cubs in the playoffs for the Brewers, and the Brewers won the series, which was great. But I don't want to be in a situation with half a football team trying to go in there to beat the Bears at Soldier Field and then having to listen to the obnoxious Bears fans for an entire offseason about how they beat you 2 out of 3 and knocked you out of the playoffs.
It wouldn't even matter if they got destroyed the next game. They would not care.
No, we would not care. Absolutely not. No. So from that perspective, no, I do not want that. Now, if they lose to somebody else in a 2-7, fine. But I do not want to lose to the Bears in a 2-7 or see the Bears in a 2-7 at this point. So for me, I'll say I think they can beat the Vikings with how they look currently, I think. They get in the playoffs and they get bounced in the first round and the season is over. That's where my expectations are now. I know some of you probably have higher expectations than me. Nicolay Law Talk at text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Where are you at, Charlie?
I think with this Green Bay Packers team, when I look across the rest of the NFL, the Rams just had a huge injury. I mean, you were talking about that in the break.
Adams ended the Rams.
Davante Adams is out, and their defense doesn't look all that
done as far as Super Bowl. They're not going to this. I don't think they're going to Super Bowl.
Right, and their defense also on that side of the country is not that great either. They just win games by shootouts a lot of the time. That's what they did against Detroit yesterday. Yep. I mean, the Bears, yes, are a very strong team, but also still a very young team that's going to make mistakes. I mean, the NFC is wide open. The Eagles don't look like the same team. I mean, this Packers team, yes, you don't have Micah Parsons, but if everybody else is healthy on this squad, which I know isn't a guarantee at this point with the Green Bay Packers, they still look like one of the better teams in the NFC with a coach that I think most people believe in at this point. This is not a situation in my mind to give up. Yeah, I think my expectations definitely changed a little bit. I think when they had traded for Micah Parsons, I was expecting a Super Bowl type of season where you at least go there. And then throughout watching this season, the way they figured it out the past couple of weeks, it kind of felt like they were going to be Super Bowl contenders, maybe even champions type of level. I'm not there, but I still think this is an NFC championship team at least. And that's a good season, especially since this is still a very young team. And I know I always say I hate that excuse, but this is a time where guys like you in the chat are talking about people gambling and Brian Gutekunst going over here and putting all his eggs in a basket. If you drop it, they break. What you have at least 3 more years after this with Micah Parsons,
this doesn't affect the
You've
trade.
got a whole future.
No,
this
I
is
agree with you on
awesome.
that. Yes, this is all short term for me. I think he'll be back in September next year, and this team will get back to where they were. But again, a large part of any team going to a Super Bowl normally, there are exceptions, normally is they're one of the healthier teams in that situation because every team's going to go through injuries. It's those that can overcome them. The Niners have overcome a ton of injuries to be in a position that they're in right now.
One of their best wide receivers hasn't shown up. We heard that on Charlie Sound of the day.
Correct. So the LA Rams right now are sitting up on top. The Eagles, the Seahawks, the Niners. So of those 4 teams, can the Packers beat those 4 teams in the playoffs? Right. That's right.
Seahawks
no, your facial reaction,
bit, yeah.
Your facial reaction was correct.
The Seahawks worried me a little bit.
No, I mean, I don't. Maybe the Niners,
I
maybe, but Shanahan has had LaFleur's number for a minute now, so that's not going to be something different.
The Eagles again don't worry me as much as they did before the season.
No, they're imploding. Yes, I hear you. Then you have the Bears, the Buccaneers, the Lions if they get in, Carolina. Now you're not going to see those guys; they're going to be below you. But the teams that are in front of you, you're going to probably see the Niners, Seahawks, Eagles, Rams, or Bears. That's probably one of those teams is your first round matchup, unless you somehow win this division and beat the Bears.
Well, and I don't feel too terrible still. Again, it's the Seahawks. I don't really trust the Packers against right now. And the Rams, I think, can win and outduel them.
Sam Darnold is capable of throwing a couple of interceptions here again.
You can be opportunistic. If Xavier McKinney decides that he doesn't have bricks for hands, if Keyshawn Nixon doesn't want to get beat on every other route and be amazing every other route, Carrington Valentine wants to tackle, you can win those games, man.
But see, that's the thing. And we talked about this earlier too. If they're going to get on a run at all, their turnover fortunes must change to the exact opposite of what they've been all year. Like they have to get on a stretch like they were at the beginning of last year, where McKinney's getting a pick every game and they're constantly turning the ball over. That is what allowed that defense to be as good as it was because they consistently were getting turnovers. This defense this year, while they're getting more pressure on the quarterback and doing more of that stuff, can't get a turnover to save their life at this point. That's what has to change. If you look at the last 3 weeks and then in the playoffs, if you're averaging getting 2 turnovers a game, then you can get on a run because then that can overcome the defense and get you 2 extra possessions on offense if you are in shootouts and having to overcome that.
That's how the Bears have won so many games this season.
Correct.
It's directly off of that.
Correct. And that could go the exact opposite way for the Bears. Now, for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it goes dry on the defensive side of the football and they don't get those turnovers. What then does that mean for them? Does their luck all of a sudden change the last 3 or 4 weeks because they stopped getting turnovers to bail their defense out? That is pretty much what it's going to have to be for the Packers. You can no longer drop interceptions. You can no longer miss picking up fumbles, and they've recovered fumbles at a pretty good rate this year. So I'm not mad about that. The interception drops, those are the ones that has to change. And Bill Barnwell did a piece today on Kansas City and on the Packers overcoming or dealing with the Mahomes injury, way more on Kansas City because they're talking about next year and all that. But on the Packers side, he makes a good point, which is turnover variance changes and can change dramatically from one year to the next. The Vikings defense is going through the same thing the Packers defense is, where last year they were one of the best teams at getting that ball. And now this year they can get it to save their life. And the Packers are in the exact same boat. Now, the difference is the Packers offense is good enough to compensate for that. And the Vikings have been looking for a quarterback all year and can't figure it out.
Well, and that's what's been the problem for the Vikings. When your offense is constantly forcing your defense back onto the field, the other team's offense doesn't feel like they have to be as aggressive. They don't feel like they have to take these big shots that result in the turnovers. The Bears went through that too back in 2018 when they traded for Khalil Mack. They had awesome turnover rate. And then next year when Khalil Mack got hurt a little bit, they just could not figure it out on that side of the ball. And their offense struggled because Mitch Trubisky was the starting quarterback of that team, and they couldn't figure it out. This is a situation where the defense has to find a way to still be effective, even though the Packers offense is better than the Vikings, better than the Bears, like I'm talking about there too. You have to find a way to help yourself out and not just force the offense to help you out.
Nicolay Law Talk text line open for you as well. How have your expectations changed for the rest of the year with all the injuries that occurred yesterday for the Packers? Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250. Justin in Germantown, my expectations have changed a little bit, but I still expect them to make the playoffs. But after that, however far they go, considering injuries, I'll be happy. They need to win Saturday. No excuses on either side of the ball. Hafley has to find a way on defense. Guys need to actually come up with picks that they should make, and LaFleur has to find a way on offense. He has to call a game to put the offense in a position to win. He went into the fetal position yesterday after Watson went out, in my opinion. And likewise, the receivers need to do a better job of getting open quicker. That is from Justin in Germantown. Like I said, if they lose this game, all hell is going to break loose on LaFleur and on Love for doing something wrong, and it's going to be their fault. That is how this is all going to fall at the end of the day. Even if Watson is out, even if Zach Tom is out, there will be no leeway given by Packer fans if they lose this game to the Bears.
If you had to predict how he would react, what do you think Ed Policy's kind of temperament is in a situation like this, where, like, if the fans are going to put that pressure on, if it feels like the league is putting that pressure on for you to start succeeding now because everybody is so at the same kind of level, do you think he is easily going to say, yeah, Matt LaFleur, we're done with you? Or is he going to be more of a traditional Packers guy where we give you the opportunities? Like, we see what's happening. We have a good relationship. I think it's a situation where him coming in as this new president says, I need to lay the hammer down now and make big changes if I want big changes to happen on the field.
If I'm at a policy, there's zero expectations the rest of the year. After yesterday, now we're good. Now, I'm not going to tell Matt LaFleur that. I'm certainly not going to tell Brian Gutekunst that. I'm not going to make them think that, all right, I already made up my mind. I don't really care what you do. I know what I'm doing going forward. I'm not going to tell them that. But in my mind after yesterday, yeah, man, like, they're screwed. I know they're screwed. They know they're screwed. I don't need to communicate this, that we're screwed. Let's just see how this plays out and goes forward. If this ends up being a train wreck, I'm not going to hold this against them for the rest of the offseason. From the 715, Tony in New Berlin, Matt LaFleur's job, it truly depends on how the offensive line plays. That's going to determine if the Packers will be successful. If they limit him, who and how he game plans with this group. The penalties is directly related to the coach because that's focus, misassignments as well, in my opinion. Also, throwing the play calling, it's all on the offense now. Now, again, I get down with the penalties, right? And I agree to a degree that is on the coaching as far as how many penalties you get in the boneheaded plays. So that, I'm fine. I'll give you some of that's on LaFleur. Fair enough. But all on the offense. So based on that, then Hafley's defense can give up 35 and you're going to blame the offense? That's how this is. That's how we're going to do this?
Mike out there, I guess.
That's how we're going to do this then. That's what it sounds like to me.
This is still a team. You still got to be with each other.
Hey, defense gave up 30. Matt LaFleur, fire him. He didn't score 31. He's out of here. That's what how we're going to play this. Like, see, again, that's what I'm saying, man. Those that want LaFleur gone are really going to pile on now. They know they got him where they want him. Andy in Grafton, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Andy?
Can everybody in Packerland, and I hate to use the Aaron Rodgers 5-letter word, but can we just relax for a second? Like, we lost to the number one seed in the AFC, and I understand that we lost some players, and obviously Micah Parsons is a difference maker, but we control our own destiny still. If we win out, which we have 3 winnable games, seeing as how we just beat the Bears last week. And we can talk about Christian Watson's 2 touchdowns. But we can talk about our offense looks stagnant when Christian Watson, before he came back. Yeah, Golden was also out. Tucker Kraft was also out. And Jaden Reed was also out. So, like, obviously the game plan that Matt LaFleur had going into the game yesterday revolved around Christian Watson. He goes out. There's obviously going to be somewhat of a setback in the current game. And then you lose your right tackle without your starting center already. And then you played the best pass rush team in the NFL. Of course, now something's going to show during that current game of, oh, crap. But we just played the Bears 2 weeks ago, and we beat them.
You had Micah Parsons, Christian Watson, Zach Tom, Evan Williams. They all played.
Sparky.
That's a lot of players to overcome in one game.
I will give you that, okay? The fact that we are going to have less players than we had last time. The players that are still on this team currently are good enough to beat the Chicago Bears.
Well, we'll find out. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. And I hope I see you at the Brat Stop on Friday for Brat Bowl 3, because I'm going to need that optimism from Packer fans on my side when we go down there on Friday. We'll be there all day between 9 and 5, brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha and Siding Unlimited. Again, Brat Bowl 3, the 670 The Score in Chicago will be broadcasting live there all day. We'll be broadcasting there between 9 and 5 as well. Charlie Usen will let him out, and he'll come broadcast with me. Tommy Wirtz is the greatest guy ever, so he's going to sit back here and produce that show so Charlie can come down by us, which I much appreciate. Tommy Wirtz coming up next 5 to 6 with the Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. I appreciate it. I do, Andy. That was his name, right, Andy? I appreciate the optimism. But, man, I'm just saying, you are asking for a big thing here to happen if they all can't play. We know Mike is not playing. We don't know about Evan Williams. We don't know about Nate Hobbs. We don't know about Christian Watson. We don't know about Zach Tom. This picture will become much clearer by Friday, obviously, or at least we hope. With this Packers coach, LaFleur, it'll just be like, all game time decisions. I don't know. Wait and see. I wouldn't surprise me if Saturday.
That's what happened with the running back room on Sunday.
It's Saturday at noon. It would not surprise me if we still don't know who's playing, and he holds it all the way up to game time before he announces to the Bears who his unavailables are going to be. That's all part of the sportsmanship and gamesmanship and all that stuff. Fine. But just saying, if those cats ain't playing, that is a big ask. And we can say as Packer fans, oh, they're not as good as the Packers, the Bears. They're a good football team. They are. They're a good football team. Caleb Williams is better than he was last year. That is without question. Ben Johnson, significant upgrade over what they had calling plays for the last decade. Like, it's not even close. Like that, their special teams, Duvernay. Oh my Lord. Like that is another issue. There's a lot there. That game was a hell of a fight between those two teams. And now you pull guys off the field for the Packers and go, and you're going there? Like I said, I hope they shock the world and they beat them and whatever the case may be. And maybe they don't shock the world because they were a favorite when this thing opened yesterday. I didn't see where it is at now, if they're still a favorite or not, but they were the favorite for sure. Brad texts into the Nicolay Law Talking text line. The relaxed take is the laziest take in sports. Wow. It's just, I'm not going to bash somebody for being optimistic. I'm not going to go after anybody that says, oh yeah, they can win out. Oh yeah, they can do this. Oh yeah, they can. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. God knows I'm wrong a lot. So we'll see if I'm wrong again going forward. Justin in Watertown will get to you here on the other side of a quick timeout. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. See Sparky Fifer with you. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz comes up 5 to 6, gives you the best of the day on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Plus, he'll throw in his takes in there for good sense. I've been saying all day, hey, tomorrow I'm going to talk about the Brewers trade. Hey, tomorrow I'm going to talk about the Bucks. Hey, tomorrow. No, I'm not here tomorrow.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
Tommy Wirtz in tomorrow for me. It's a weird week. I got Tuesday and Thursday off this week. Tommy Wirtz in for me both those days. So my appreciation to Tommy Wirtz for filling in. Before we get to what I missed on today's show, let's go to Justin in Watertown joining us now on the Nicolay Law Talking text line. What's up, Justin?
Hey, Spark. So I haven't heard anything you said all day. I just turned you on. But I'm concerned for the fact that next man up is a great mentality when you're replacing a guy who's just a guy who's the starter, but he's not like the guy. We're replacing 5 of our best players all in 1 week.
Yep.
That's insane to overcome, and you're asking next man up to replace your best player at that position. Our best offensive lineman, our best defensive lineman, our best secondary player, our best wide receiver. I mean, holy cow. And we're already missing our best tight end, our best defensive tackle. It's like, wow, that is a huge ask. And so expecting our offensive line to be able to withstand anything and our defensive line to be able to put on any pressure in a defense that's expecting to have a secondary only cover for 2 to 3 seconds, I mean, it's going to be a big, big ask this week. I want to see him do it, but I'm very, very nervous about that ask.
Justin, I'm with you. You and I are in lockstep. Could have co-hosted the show with me today. Would have done a better job than Charlie. Thanks for the call, Justin. I appreciate it.
Rude.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear me say that?
I did hear that. You can't turn my headphones off. You can only turn my mic off.
Yes, that's true. And I don't turn your mic off. Not that often. Real quick here before we get out of here, since I'm not here tomorrow and Tommy is, that Brewers trade that everybody's all mad about. Listen, Isaac Collins played great for just over half a year, was in the Rookie of the Year race, had a kid, and then sucked. Now, does that mean he's going to suck all of next year? Not necessarily. He might be good. He very well might be. But you heard, well, hopefully you heard, Matt Arnold at the Toy Drive with us the first week of December. Matt Arnold, when asked about Garrett Mitchell, said nobody's going to out-athletic Garrett Mitchell. He's a stud when he's on the field. The problem is got to keep him on the field. So Garrett Mitchell, I think, is there. Blake Perkins' glove, much better than Isaac Collins. So I think he's there. So that left Isaac Collins out unless they were going to move him to an infield position, which I think they considered because he has time there. And maybe he'll play some infield in Kansas City. But that left him as the odd man out there. Then Nick Mears didn't look the best at times last year either. Looked good at times, also didn't look great. And apparently, according to Matt Arnold, talking to the media over the weekend, apparently this guy, Angel Serpa, is a guy that they've had their eyes on for quite some time and have been trying to figure out how to get. And they're going to try him at starting pitcher. So that's a lefty that maybe ends up in the rotation, maybe ends up starting at AAA, then coming up at some point, or maybe he ends up in the bullpen for the entire season. Either way, we know one thing. We have Chris Hook. The Kansas City Royals do not. I have no fear that he'll figure out how to make this dude as good as Matt Arnold thinks he can be, and this will all work out. However, if they do not get a power bat at some point, this is a failed offseason. I don't give a damn what else happens. If they don't get a bat that can hit home runs to put it in the middle of this lineup, by the end of this offseason, it's an F. Plain and simple. That's where I'm at. I'm not moving off my stance. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. When the Bucks compete again, we'll talk about them. Until then, you're banned from the show too, until you actually show me something. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles.